Chapter 24-28. Ao Qingwu's two attacks had given Night Sorrow a lot of pressure, but at the same time, it had given him a lot of confidence. Night Sorrow judged that he should be invincible in the Divine Feather Realm in terms of body tempering. He could even last a few rounds against a lower High God body tempering expert, but in a long battle he would definitely not be a match for a High God body tempering expert. This meant that he was not too far away from the High God body tempering stage. If he improved in other aspects, he might be able to challenge a High God body tempering expert. But the prerequisite was that the High God body tempering expert did not have many trump cards. In any case, the Genesis essence of heaven and earth had given him a huge boost. Tell me the rules of the Challenge Tower. The Challenge Tower of the Sky-Piercing Bone Tower was located in an independent space, and the receptionist was a humanoid puppet. The humanoid puppet moved very slowly and spoke very slowly. The rules are that each level has 10 gatekeepers of the corresponding cultivation level. Defeat them or find the exit of the next level. The faster you clear the level, the better the rewards. The rewards include cultivation time in the Sky-Piercing Bone Tower, cultivation manuals, secret techniques, body tempering experience, and some special rewards. In addition, after clearing the 4th level, you will be able to see the teleportation gate out of the Endless Bone region. What are the special rewards? Yi Shang asked curiously when he heard the puppet's words. He knew that these mysterious rewards were usually good stuff. Only by breaking the previous record will you be able to trigger the special rewards. As for what the special rewards are, I don't know. But it has something to do with the master. The puppet explained slowly. The master of the Sky-Piercing Bone Tower? Didn't they say that the Sky-Piercing Bone Tower has no master and that anyone can get it to recognize a master? Night Sorrow was a little puzzled. The puppet said, the old master was the creator of the Sky-Piercing Bone Tower. The current Sky-Piercing Bone Tower is indeed an ownerless treasure. I see, I understand. Night Sorrow replied and found that there were 5 records at the entrance of the Challenge Tower. The record holder of the first level was Jing Hong, 3 breaths. The record holder of the second level was Ao Qingwu, 17 breaths. The record holder of the third level was Ao Qingwu, 39 breaths. The record holder of the 4th level was Feng Ling, 79 breaths. On the 5th level, the record holder was Feng Ling, using 217 breaths. No one passed the 6th level. No one passed the 7th level. These records are held by the 4 great powerhouses. He wondered how difficult it would be to break it. I need to return to my peak condition. The puppet had once said that there were benefits to breaking a record. There was a chance that he would be rewarded by the master of the Sky Split Bone Pagoda. Night Sorrow naturally didn't want to miss this opportunity. The Challenge Tower that everyone entered was an independent space. Night Sorrow, who had recovered, was not worried about Ao Qingwu appearing. He began to carefully study the Challenge Tower. There were 9 gatekeepers on each level. The first level had the strength of a lesser feather god, the second level had the strength of an intermediate feather god, the third level had the strength of an upper feather god, the 4th level had the strength of a half-step high god, the 5th level had the strength of a lesser high god, the 6th level had the strength of an intermediate high god, and the 7th level had the strength of an upper high god. If he wanted the Sky-Piercing Bone Pagoda to recognize him as its master, he would have to survive the attacks of 9 superior gods. Night Sorrow couldn't do that, so he didn't think too much about it. As for the 6th level, the chances were very low, so he didn't consider it. I wonder if I can pass the 5th level if I use all my trump cards? Night Sorrow was very confident about the first 4 levels. This meant that he already had the ability to leave the Endless Bone region. However, the laws of time here were very special. 10,000 years was only 1 year in the divine world. He wasn't in a hurry to leave. He wanted to save Jing Yun, and he wanted to improve his strength as much as possible. Phew. I've finally recovered to my peak condition. I can challenge the Challenge Tower. After recovering for about a month, Night Sorrow felt that his body was at its peak condition. He entered the first level of the Challenge Tower and prepared to start the challenge. The record for the first level was only 3 breaths. Night Sorrow stood in the center of the arena with the 1,000 catty demon subduing spear in his hand. He was slightly nervous. Do you want to start the first level challenge? The puppet's slow voice sounded at this time. Start the first level challenge. Night Sorrow shouted in an imposing manner. He began to prepare the 1,000 catty demon subduing spear's strongest move. Soon, a skeleton guardian of the lower divine feather realm appeared in each of the 9 positions within 100 meters of him. Without any hesitation, Night Sorrow used the forbidden spear to strike the ground of the Challenge Tower. Boom. With a loud bang, the ground of the challenge tower shook. The 10 skeleton guardians were instantly shattered. The first level of the challenge tower is a success. A new record is born. The record holder is Night Sorrow. Time taken, 1 breath. The puppet immediately announced the result. Hearing this result, Yishang smiled faintly. The reason he was able to deal with the skeleton guardian was because of his battle with Ao Qingwu. When the two of them exchanged blows, there was a huge aftershock. This gave him some inspiration, and he was able to think of a way to attack the ground. The challenge tower restricted the speed of the cultivators. If he were to deal with the skeletons one by one, it would be difficult to finish within 3 breaths. Using a group attack was the easiest way. The first level of the challenge tower is a success. A new record is born. The record holder is Night Sorrow. Time taken, 1 breath. Just as Night Sorrow was about to receive his reward with a smile, a loud announcement sounded in every corner of the Endless Bone region. What? How is this possible? Night Sorrow passed the first level of the challenge tower in 1 breath? Is he really that Night Sorrow? This name is not common. It should be him. In an inconspicuous stone house in East Valley City, a white-robed cultivator murmured with a complicated expression after hearing the announcement. He was Lu Jiangtian, the law enforcement captain of the Sea Sky Assembly. He had been in the Endless Bone region for more than 3,000 years and had yet to reach the body-tempering feather god realm. When he heard that Night Sorrow had successfully passed the challenge tower and set a new record, he had mixed feelings. Firstly, he was happy that Night Sorrow had also been exiled to the Endless Bone region. Secondly, he was shocked by the speed of his growth. After all, anyone who could set a new record was a legendary figure. Brother Night Sorrow is indeed extraordinary. He broke Boss Jing Hong's record in 1 move. When he heard the news, Ho Lai, who was in the cultivation room, shouted happily. He had a good impression of Night Sorrow. Of course. Back when he was a low-level body-tempering feather god, he was able to kill Ling Tian in 1 move. If he advances to the mid-level body-tempering feather god realm, his strength will increase by leaps and bounds. Zhu Yunxia was also very happy and smiled. Geng Qin, who was sitting to the side, looked at the two excited people and smiled slightly without saying anything. Night Sorrow, you have appeared. Jing Yun, who was improving her strength in the high-level feather god cultivation room, was clearly shocked when she heard the news. Do you know him? Feng Ling, who was sitting cross-legged with his eyes closed, asked coldly when he felt Jing Yun's body tremble in the lightning. He was dressed in white and had an extremely handsome face. His eyes were long and narrow. Even though they were not open, he gave off a very strong pressure. He is more outstanding than you and more open and above-board, Jing Yun said bluntly. Haha. What's the use of being open and above-board? In the realm of the gods, only the strong are respected. Feng Ling smiled noncommittally at Jing Yun's answer. That's why you will never have the chance to become the master, but he will. This is the difference in your breadth of mind. It will decide your future path. As she spoke in the lightning, blood flowed from the corner of Jing Yun's mouth, but a smile appeared on her face. It's not too late for you to say this after he breaks my record on the 4th and 5th levels. The first 3 levels were just because I was too lazy to break them after I became a deity. Feng Ling did not care about Jing Yun's words at all. It was obvious that he did not take Night Sorrow seriously. The challenge on the 4th level of the challenge tower is successful. A new record has been created. The record holder Ao Qingwu took 10 breaths. At this moment, a loud announcement sounded in the Endless Bone region again. Ao Qingwu had also made a move to break the record. Hearing this voice, Feng Ling, who was originally sitting cross-legged with her eyes closed, immediately opened her eyes and stood up. Chapter 24-29. Ao Qingwu appeared and broke the record of the 4th level. She must have become a body-tempering superior god. The record of the 4th level was set by Feng Ling before he became a superior god. He judged that it was definitely a superior god who broke the 4th level in 10 breaths. Feng Ling, who originally thought that he was invincible with only one body-tempering superior god in the Endless Bone territory, had mixed feelings. Among the 4 masters, his bloodline talent was the worst. He had no advantage in a battle between masters of the same level. At the same time, hearing the news of Ao Qingwu breaking the record, the entire Endless Bone territory became lively. A legendary figure had appeared after a few thousand years of silence and directly broke the record of the challenge tower. It was the return of the king. That was not all. The key was that she and the new master, Night Sorrow, appeared at the same time. Had the two of them joined forces? If they joined forces, even Feng Ling would not be a match for them. So soon the Endless Bone territory had changed again? After all, the cultivators of East Valley City had seen Night Sorrow kill Li Yuan, one of the four masters. Feng Ling's scattered subordinates had also seen Night Sorrow's ferocity. They had seen him kill the 5 ferocious beasts with their own eyes. In their minds, there were no more 4 masters in the Endless Bone territory. There were only 3 masters, Feng Ling Ao Qinggu and the new master, Night Sorrow. If Night Sorrow heard others talking about him and Ao Qinggu, he would be speechless. The two of them were at daggers drawn. There was no such thing as cooperation. The next time they met, there would be a big battle. The current situation was that he, Feng Ling and Ao Qinggu were in a triangular confrontation. It was a complete free-for-all. Ao Qinggu was the strongest at the moment. However, Feng Ling had Jing Yun's bloodline and might not be at a disadvantage. Night Sorrow was the weakest at the moment, but his potential was the most amazing. It all depended on who could rule the Endless Bone territory in the end. Start the second level challenge. After the first level challenge, the puppet informed Night Sorrow that the reward would be given after the challenge was completed. He did not hesitate to start the challenge. The record holder of the second level was Ao Qinggu, who took 17 breaths. This time, after the guarding skeletons were refreshed, Night Sorrow changed his strategy and did not use the forbidden spear. Instead, he used the 1,000-kilogram demon spear and stabbed 9 times consecutively. He killed one of them in a breath's time. In the end, it took 11 breaths. The challenge tower greatly suppressed the speed of cultivators. If not for this, many experts would have been able to pass the trial in a single breath. Begin the third floor challenge. The record holder of the third level was Ao Qinggu, who used 39 breaths of time. This record should have been set by Ao Qinggu several years ago, and her results were not very outstanding. Now, Night Sorrow could kill a skeleton at the Feather God Body Tempering Realm with a single spear strike. In the end, the time taken for the third level was exactly the same as the second level. It also took 11 breaths. The announcement of the record-breaking second and third levels rang out continuously in the Endless Bone realm. Many cultivators simply did not know what to say. He thought to himself that a person like Yi Shang could only be described as a monster. This was especially true for the cultivators who knew Night Sorrow. They knew exactly how long he had been in the Endless Bone realm, and were even more shocked. Feng Ling, who was originally dismissive of Night Sorrow, could not help but worry. He judged that Night Sorrow's strength was at least on par with his before his breakthrough. If he and Ao Qinggu really joined forces, I will definitely be no match for them. Feng Ling's expression was very dark, but after a moment he was relieved and thought to himself, as long as I obtain the true Phoenix bloodline, everything will not be a problem. Moreover, I have Feng Yi to help me. Victory should be in my grasp. Obtaining the bloodline was a secret technique unique to the Feng Ling family. The stronger the person being robbed was, the greater the increase in his strength. This was also the reason why he had been helping Jing Yun to increase her strength. However, no one including Feng Yi knew about it. At this moment, Feng Yi had obtained the body tempering manual from Feng Ling and was trying to break through to the upper god body tempering realm in the cultivation room next door. If he succeeded, he would be a great help to Feng Ling. Even if I die, I won't let you succeed in obtaining the bloodline. Jing Yun, who was still strengthening herself in the lightning, was not clear about Feng Ling's specific plot, but she knew that he definitely did not have good intentions. As if knowing what Jing Yun was thinking, Feng Ling looked up at her and did not say anything. Just a glance from him made Jing Yun have an ominous premonition. She thought to herself, since Feng Ling is doing this, he must be prepared. In the end, will I not even have the chance to self-destruct? Forget it. I'll take it one step at a time. Anyway, I won't give up without a fight. Facing the desperate situation, the image of Night Sorrow, who could not even stand steadily, killing Ling Tian with one shot flashed across Jing Yun's mind. She felt that she should not give up hope. The challenge of the 5th level of the challenge tower is successful. A new record is born. The record holder Ao Qinggu used 162 breaths. At this moment, the announcement attracted everyone's attention once again. Ao Qinggu actually broke the record of the 5th level, overshadowing Night Sorrow's limelight. After all, she had succeeded in challenging the 5th level. This meant that she was now the strongest person in the Endless Bone region. The highest combat power. We are actually so far apart. Talent and bloodline are indeed important. The others did not know Ao Qinggu, but Feng Ling did. They had fought several times before and he did not have the upper hand each time. In the previous body-tempering manual battle, if Ao Qingwu had appeared, it was really hard to say who would have gotten the manual. Hearing this announcement, Feng Ling's heart trembled. The strength of the upper god is indeed amazing. If she did not appear, I could have easily broken the record of the first 4 levels. Hearing that Ao Qingwu had broken the record of the 5th level, Night Sorrow, who was preparing to challenge the 4th level, could not help but think of a way to break the record. The original record was 79 breaths, which he could break in a normal battle. Now it had become a short 10 breaths. On average, it was a little difficult to kill a skeleton that was half a step to the upper god state in 1 breath. After all, the vitality of a skeleton that was half a step to the upper god state was very strong. Even if Night Sorrow could use the Forbidden Spear technique 10 times in a row, he might not be able to kill all of them in 1 breath. If I want to break the record of the 4th level, I must break through the encirclement and go through the levels. I can't rely on the 1000 Catty Demon Spear. The record that Ao Qingwu had set was really insane. Before Night Sorrow officially started the challenge, he could not help but look at the layout of the 4th level. In the first 3 levels, he had used the 1000 Catty Demon Spear to kill the skeletons guarding the levels. He did not pay attention to where the entrance was. After looking at the 4th level, Night Sorrow realized that he was on a round platform. The platform was not big, but it was connected to 9 passages. The 9 passages extended into the distance and should be connected to 9 doors. Looks like this is where the difficulty lies. I have to figure out the rules as soon as possible. If Night Sorrow activated the power of Merit and Star's mighty body, his speed would be similar to that of a body-tempering exalted god. Although the 9 skeletons that were half a step to the upper god state could slow him down, they could not stop him. The problem that Night Sorrow was facing was how to find the exit. Let's start the challenge of the 4th level. No matter how much he thought about it, he might as well give it a try. When the challenge of the 4th level began, the 9 skeletons that were half a step to the upper god state appeared and surrounded Night Sorrow. After activating the power of Merit, Star's mighty body, and Essence Smoke, Night Sorrow used all his strength and rushed out of the encirclement of the skeletons in about 3 breaths. Let's leave it to fate. The skeletons behind him chased after him. Night Sorrow ran directly to the passage closest to him. However, after about 1 breath, Night Sorrow ran to the end of the passage and saw another 9 passages. What's going on? Do I have to go through 9 passages in a row? In the end, Night Sorrow realized that there were 81 passages. This was because he had to choose 9 times and each time he had to choose one of the 9. This time he chose randomly and didn't find the exit in the end. Many breaths of time had passed. Helpless, Yishan could only choose to give up. At this time the puppet reminded him, if you want to find the exit, you have to make 9 choices in a row. You have to make the right choice each time to find the way to pass the level. It seems that there is a pattern in this. Chapter 24:30. But this time, Night Sorrow failed again. Not only this time, but he also failed in the dozens of subsequent attempts. I don't believe that I can't figure it out. The continuous failures had aroused Night Sorrow's passion. Since then he had continued to research. After 10 years and countless experiments, Night Sorrow finally found some clues. It turned out that the skeleton guardians on the 4th level were related to the 9 stars. The 9 stars were Tianping Star, Tianrui Star, Tianchong Star, Tianfu Star, Tianqin Star, Tianxian Star, Tianren Star, Tianzhu Star, and Tianing Star. During the battle, Night Sorrow found that there was a small mark on each skeleton guardian's skull, which represented a star. The Heavenly Heart Star, the Heavenly Trust Star, the Heavenly Bird Star, and the Heavenly Auxiliary Star are the 4 auspicious stars. The Heavenly Rush Star is the 2nd most auspicious star. The Canopy Star, the Heavenly Rui Star, and the Heavenly Pillar Star are the 3 ominous stars. Which one represents the direction of the exit? Night Sorrow knew a little about the 9 stars, but he didn't understand it very well. Then he studied the passageway and found that every choice of the passageway was related to the 9 stars. Every fork represented a star. Looking carefully he could find the signs of the 9 stars. But they were all randomly distributed, and the order was very chaotic. Every time the same star is chosen, it should form a passageway. But why doesn't this work? It seems that the guardians are related to the passageway. After 5 years of repeated research, Night Sorrow had completely figured out what was going on and had successfully passed the 4th level. It turned out that he had to defeat a skeleton guardian and activate the star passageway it represented. Every passageway had to choose the same star. That way he could pass the level. But when Night Sorrow passed the level for the first time, he had only tried. He didn't chase after time, so the time he took to pass the level was very long. This time I should be able to break the record. After 10 years of research, I'm really tired. After understanding the rules of the 4th level, Night Sorrow immediately activated his power of merit, Essence Chi Smoke Beacon, and Astral Tyrant Body. He also held the 1,000-kilogram demon subduing spear in his hand. When the 4th level challenge began, Night Sorrow used the 1,000-catty demon subduing spear to kill the skeleton guardian representing the hero planet as quickly as possible. Then he chose the hero planet's passageway and successfully set a new record for the 4th level. The 4th floor of the challenge tower is a success. A new record was born. The record is set by Night Sorrow in 8 breaths. When Night Sorrow completed the challenge, the Endless Bone Realm immediately resounded with a deafening announcement. After more than 10 years, the entire East Valley City was filled with exclamations upon hearing the announcement of a successful challenge. Even the record of the 4th level was broken by Night Sorrow. This shocked many people. After all, this record was just set by Ao Qingwu. East Valley City, one of the few remaining cultivators in the Endless Bone Realm, immediately broke the silence of the past. It was bustling with activity, and quite a few cultivators had gathered to discuss the matter. If not for their fear of Feng Ling, many cultivators would have gathered at the sky-reaching Bone Tower. However, they were just onlookers and didn't understand the significance of this matter. When they heard the announcement, Feng Ling and Ao Qingwu were so shocked that they couldn't describe it with words, especially Feng Ling. He guessed that Night Sorrow had broken through to the god level of body refinement, and he felt endless pressure in his heart. Ao Qingwu knew that it was impossible for Night Sorrow to reach the god level of body refinement so quickly, but she was even more shocked than Feng Ling. She thought to herself, is he really stronger than me as a mid-level god-level body refinement feather god? Ao Qingwu's mood became complicated when she thought about how their battle had ended in a draw. However, she was still accepting the reward for breaking the record and didn't think too much about it. She continued to absorb the Genesis essence rewarded by the sky-reaching Bone Tower. After breaking the records of the 4th and 5th levels, the sky-reaching Bone Tower rewarded Ao Qingwu with 10 drops of Genesis essence, which increased her strength again. Begin the challenge of the 5th level. After recovering, Night Sorrow didn't stop and directly began the challenge of the 5th level. With the experience of the 4th level, the record of the 5th level was quickly broken by Night Sorrow. He found that the pattern of the 5th level was the same as the 4th level, except that the 9 stars were replaced by 9 palaces. Qian Palace, Qin Palace, Zhen Palace, Zhen Palace, Zhong Palace, Sun Palace, Li Palace, Kun Palace and Dui Palace. This time, because he had killed a god-level body refinement skeleton guard and had to escape from the other 8 guards, he took a long time to break through. Night Sorrow took a longer time. He finished in 160 breaths, which was only 2 breaths faster than Ao Qingwu. Although the people in the Endless Bone region were numb to Night Sorrow's achievements, they were still greatly shocked when the record of the 5th level was broken. At this point, many people already believed that Night Sorrow had become the #1 person in the Endless Bone region. Many people even had the thought of following him. Zhu Yunxia, Hou Lai and Geng Chen were all very excited. They originally didn't have much hope in saving Jing Yun, but now they felt that a miracle could happen. After that, Night Sorrow appeared on the 6th level of the challenge tower. After several attempts, Night Sorrow found that the skeleton guard on the 6th level was too strong for him to kill, so he gave up. Do you accept the reward? After Night Sorrow gave up, the puppet immediately asked. Accept. Of course I accept. Didn't I struggle for so many years to obtain a reward to increase my strength? Yi Shan nodded when he heard the puppet's question. This is the reward Master asked me to give you. After receiving Night Sorrow's confirmation, the puppet handed over a tattered book. This is my reward for breaking the record of the 5th level? What happened to the cultivation time, cultivation manuals, secret techniques, body tempering insights and some other special rewards? Yi Shang asked with a puzzled expression as he received the tattered book. This is the Master's body tempering insights. It is very precious and is a special reward of the highest level. Because it is too valuable, you will not receive any other rewards, the puppet explained slowly. Alright. Night Sorrow originally thought that he would receive a large reward, but now he felt that it was all for nothing. The sky-reaching Bone Pagoda's owner's body tempering insights should be very rare. With his notes, I might be able to upgrade the Myriad Tao treasured tome and create a Divine Realm chapter. Night Sorrow flipped through the book and confirmed that it was the sky-reaching Bone Pagoda's owner's notes. It mainly recorded his body tempering insights. Next, it recorded some past events related to the sky-reaching bone pagoda. Knight Sorrow wasn't in the mood to study these past events. He used some crystal cores to exchange for 100 years of cultivation time in the sky-reaching bone pagoda's Tao Enlightenment Room. The price of cultivation time in the Tao Enlightenment Room was much cheaper than the cultivation room, but it was less safe than the cultivation room. Knight Sorrow carried the 1,000 demon spear on his back and the bone pagoda's owner's notes in his hand. When he walked into the Tao Enlightenment Room, he smelled a fragrance. It was the smell of the Tao Enlightenment wine. Could refresh the mind and calm his mind. It would be great if I could drink some of Chuyu's calming tea. Knight Sorrow smiled when he thought about his wife and tribesmen on Night Moon Island. He was no longer the rookie who was at the mercy of others when he had just arrived in the realm of the gods. The myriad Tao treasured tome, my old friend. It is time for us to become stronger together. Knight Sorrow cleared his mind and started to study the Bone Pagoda's owner's notes. He wanted to create a Divine Realm chapter of the myriad Tao treasured tome. Now, among his trump cards, there were the God-level Essence Chi Smoke Beacon, the 1,000 Demon Spear, the Astral Dominating Body, and the 7 Stars Rage. Chapter 2431. The first level of the Myriad Tao Treasure Tome was called the Blood Refining Realm, which was equivalent to the Qi Refinement Realm. The second level was the Muscle Strengthening Realm, which was equivalent to the Qi Refinement Realm. The third level was the Bone Tempering Realm, which was equivalent to the Core Formation Realm. The fourth level was the Spirit Consolidation Realm, which was equivalent to the Spirit Severing Realm. The fifth level was the Tao Querying Realm, which was equivalent to the Void Inquiry Realm. The sixth level was the Spirit Refinement Realm, which was equivalent to the Clear Heaven Realm. The seventh level was the Golden Body Realm, which was equivalent to the Sage Realm. The eighth level was the Undead Realm, and the ninth level was the Rebirth Realm. There was a blank page at the end, which probably corresponded to the God Realm. The creator of the Myriad Tao Treasure Tome probably hadn't broken through to the God Realm, which was why he didn't create the 10th level. Let me complete the content of the 10th level and beyond. Knight Sorrow sat in the Tao Comprehension Room and studied the body refinement insights of the Bone Pagoda's owner. Creation was much more difficult than cultivation. His progress was very slow. The Myriad Tao Treasure Tome wasn't just used to strengthen the body, it could also improve the vitality and soul. Since Knight Sorrow didn't have any insights to improve his vitality and soul, he could only start from the aspect of body refinement. He planned to divide the 10th level of the Myriad Tao Treasure Tome into 3 parts: body refinement, vitality, and soul. It corresponded to the Lower Feather God, Middle Feather God, and Upper Feather God. At the Lower Feather God realm, he only needed to consider body refinement to increase the strength of his body. In the future he would obtain the God Realm Cultivation Technique and Soul Cultivation Technique, then he would supplement the vitality and soul. The body refinement insights of the Bone Pagoda's owner were not only related to the Feather God Realm, but also the High God Realm. Logically speaking, Knight Sorrow didn't need to use the High God Realm, but after studying it, he gained a lot. He integrated the experience of the High God Realm into the Feather God Realm, and combined it with the insights of the Essence Chi Wolf Smoke. He gradually figured out the body refinement insights of the Feather God Realm in the Myriad Tao Treasure Tome. The process sounded simple, but it took him a whole 100 years. The first part of the 10th level of the Myriad Tao Treasure Tome, let's name it Wolf Smoke. After researching the Wolf Smoke, Knight Sorrow exchanged for 1,000 years of cultivation time in the Tao Enlightenment Room and meditated there. It took Knight Sorrow 700 years to consolidate his lower and middle divine feather body refinement realms. His body, which had already been strengthened by the Genesis essence of heaven and earth, was raised to a whole new level. This cultivation speed was all thanks to the Genesis essence. The cultivation process was equivalent to reabsorbing the Genesis essence, allowing it to display its true potential. My body's strength is probably on par with the average high gods. He reckoned that he would be able to withstand the backlash of the cultivation room. If he were to fight Feng Ling while enduring the backlash from the cultivation room, he would probably not be his match. If Ao Qingwu is willing to lend me a hand, it should not be too difficult to rescue Jing Yun. However, when we meet again it will definitely be a great battle. Why would she help me? Ao Qingwu was an enemy, not a friend. Knight Sorrow felt that there was only one way to get her to help, and that was to defeat her. However, although his strength had increased tremendously, he was not completely confident that he could defeat Ao Qingwu. Moreover, 800 years had passed, and the matter of rescuing Jing Yun was imminent. Looks like I have to think of a way to increase my power of virtue. There were countless skeletal creatures in the endless bone region. After thinking for a while, Night Sorrow left the sky-reaching bone tower to hunt the skeletal creatures. However, when Night Sorrow first hunted the lower-level feather god skeletons, his power of virtue increased. However, when his power of virtue increased to 60% of the lower-level feather god skeletons, his power of virtue did not increase even when he hunted the higher-level feather god skeletons. In fact, he could increase his power of virtue by 20% for lower-level feather god skeletons, and 40% for middle-level feather god skeletons. He estimated that killing the half-step high god skeletons would increase his power of virtue by 80%, and killing the lower-level high god skeletons would allow his power of virtue to advance to the middle-level feather god level. Where can I find lower-level high god skeletons? Looks like I have to explore the entire endless bone region. After using more than 20 years to increase his power of virtue to 60% of the lower-level feather god level, Night Sorrow decided to explore the unknown areas of the endless bone region. He had obtained many crystal cores over the years, but they were not enough to exchange for secret techniques. He decided to give them to Zhu Yunxia, Hou Lai, and Geng Chen so that they could exchange them for high-level cultivation rooms. The three of them had been cooped up in the lower-level feather god cultivation room, staring at each other. It was too awkward. In fact, they had been very depressed over the years. They even vented their anger on Feng Jiu. Their greatest expectation was to hear Night Sorrow's record-breaking broadcast. However, the broadcast had not appeared for hundreds of years. Brother Night Sorrow, it's so good to see you again. When he opened the door and saw Night Sorrow, Hou Lai excitedly gave him a hug. All these years they were no different from being imprisoned. Zhu Yunxia was more thoughtful. She asked worriedly, "We haven't left the cultivation room all these years. I wonder if there's any news from Miss Jing Yun?" They had tortured Feng Jiu many times over the years, asking her to contact Feng Ling's people, but Feng Jiu had never contacted them. "There's no news from Jing Yun for now. I'll go rescue her soon. I still need to make some preparations," Night Sorrow explained. Although the matter of rescuing Jing Yun was urgent, if he was not fully prepared, it would be tantamount to suicide. It would be meaningless. He glanced at Feng Jiu and did not ask anything for now. He told everyone about Ao Qingwu so that they could understand the current situation in the Endless Bone region. The others were no longer a threat to the three of them. The current Endless Bone region had formed a tripartite balance of power. "Brother Night Sorrow, you're really a genius at cultivating your body. I Geng Chen am completely convinced. I believe that those of us who are not talented enough will leave the Endless Bone region soon." Hearing this, Geng Chen, who did not like to talk, was a little excited. Geng Chen's greatest expectation was that Night Sorrow would make the sky-reaching Bone Pagoda recognize him as its master and take them out of the Endless Bone region. He had people he cared about outside. "Brother Geng Chen, don't worry. After I rescue Jing Yun, I'll challenge the sky-reaching Bone Pagoda's challenge tower." Night Sorrow patted Geng Chen's shoulder. The sky-reaching Bone Pagoda was a divine artifact for cultivating one's body. No one wanted to miss it. He estimated that after his strength increased, he would be able to break through the 6th level of the sky-reaching Bone Pagoda. The only difficulty was the final level. The sky-reaching Bone Pagoda's skeleton guardian was too powerful. "Brother Night Sorrow, we won't be of much help to you in the Endless Bone Pagoda, but once we leave the Bone Pagoda, we'll follow your lead and fight for you." "I will fight for you." Geng Chen cupped his fists and swore. "We're brothers. No need to be so polite. There will definitely be opportunities to fight together. There's no need to follow my lead." Night Sorrow helped Geng Chen up, then looked at Zhu Yunxia and said, "This time I'm here to give you cultivation essence crystals." Then Night Sorrow gave them all the essence crystals he had hunted recently. He took them to exchange for an upper-level feather god cultivation room. After entering the new cultivation room, Night Sorrow looked at Feng Jiu and said, "Think of a way to contact Feng Ling's people and find out how things are going on his side. When I kill Feng Ling in the future, I'll release you." "Yes, I'll contact Feng Yi right away." Facing Night Sorrow, Feng Jiu felt a lot more pressure than before. The fear in her heart grew even stronger. Without another word, she began to contact Feng Yi. What a bastard. In these past few years, no matter how much Zhu Yunxia and the others tortured her, Feng Jiu never contacted Feng Yi. Now that Night Sorrow said it, she did as she was told. Chapter 2432. Boss. How's Master Feng Ling's matter going? I've been cooped up in the cultivation room for a few hundred years. The crystal cores have all been used up. I'm afraid I'll be kicked out soon. If I'm kicked out, I'm afraid I'll be caught by Night Sorrow and my life will be in danger. Without Master, no one can deal with that guy anymore. Feng Jiu carefully glanced at Night Sorrow and pondered for a while before organizing his words and speaking to the twin shells. Feng Ling was a very suspicious person and would only contact Feng Yi. Only Feng Jiu could contact Feng Yi. Feng Jiu knew that the two of them definitely didn't know that he was captured by Night Sorrow. Feng Jiu, why haven't you done anything for so many years? I thought you were killed by Night Sorrow. Not long after Feng Jiu spoke, Feng Yi's voice came from the inner shell. His voice sounded a little agitated. Obviously he still cared about Feng Jiu. Sigh, I'm afraid of delaying your and Master's cultivation. But I really can't wait anymore. Feng Jiu's face suddenly showed a trace of helplessness. If his life wasn't at stake, he wouldn't have chosen to betray. Seeing that Feng Jiu's expression was a little conflicted, Night Sorrow's aura immediately erupted. Seeing that Night Sorrow was about to explode, Feng Jiu hurriedly continued to chat with Feng Yi. After asking, he got good news and bad news. The good news was that Feng Ling's matter of seizing the bloodline was delayed for 300 years because of the pressure from Night Sorrow and Ao Qingwu. Feng Ling wanted to improve Jing Yun's strength as much as possible. This way, after seizing the bloodline, his strength would leap further. The bad news was that after Feng Yi obtained the Body Refinement Treasure Book, he already had strength close to a Body Refinement High God. He should be able to break through to Body Refinement High God in the near future. His strength could be said to have improved by leaps and bounds. In addition to these two things, Night Sorrow also learned a big thing. That was that Ao Qingwu forced her way into Feng Ling's cultivation room 300 years ago and fought with Feng Ling under the attack of the cultivation room. In the end, she was seriously injured and barely escaped. It seems that the lightning attack of the cultivation room is really terrifying. In the next 200 years, I must continue to improve, only then will I have the chance to save Jing Yun. After clarifying the situation, Night Sorrow asked Feng Jiu to find an excuse to cut off the connection. Then he bid farewell to Zhu Yunxia and the others and left the sky-reaching bone tower to explore the endless bone region. He didn't want to delay the improvement of his strength for even a second. The endless bone region had the soul-devouring evil wind and a large number of skeletons. There were many areas that no one had explored yet. Although Night Sorrow was only a mid-level divine feather, his true strength was comparable to that of an ordinary lesser high god. Ordinary soul-devouring evil winds were no longer a threat to him. After roughly 100 years, Night Sorrow finished exploring the entire endless bone region. He found 2 hidden great formations and obtained 12 drops of Genesis Essence. He no longer had any use for the Genesis Essence, so he had placed it in the same treasure trove as before, which was the valley where Feng Ling's possessions were hidden. Night Sorrow had encountered 5 half-celestial level skeletons. He had killed all of them and gained some merit power, but he had not encountered a single one of them. As a result, he had encountered a bottleneck in his strength. However, on this day Night Sorrow, who had been aimlessly searching for high god skeletons in the endless bone region, suddenly saw Ao Qingwu, who had not appeared for 100 years, enter the terrifying black wind pillar. Why is Ao Qingwu going into this terrifying wind pillar? Night Sorrow still remembered the black wind pillar area. When he had first entered the endless bone region, he had been besieged by skeletons here. Night Sorrow was puzzled when he saw Ao Qingwu enter the wind pillar. However, he did not hesitate and followed her into the wind pillar to find out what was going on. Since Ao Qingwu dared to enter, there was nothing he did not dare to do. The soul-devouring evil wind here is very strong. The black wind pillar was quite harmful to cultivators, but Night Sorrow activated the star's tyrant body to resist it and did not suffer any damage. However, after passing through the black wind pillar and entering a new world, Night Sorrow felt as if the soul-devouring evil wind was scraping his face. It was even stronger than the black wind pillar. Before Night Sorrow's eyes was a world of darkness. Mountains had collapsed and the earth had cracked. There were broken walls everywhere, and the ground was like 10,000-year-old cold iron, cold and solid. The whole world was silent and colorless. It gave off an extremely oppressive and evil aura of death. The aura here is 100 times more terrifying than the endless bone region. I'm afraid there are more powerful creatures here. Ao Qingwu would not have entered this world for no reason. Now her figure had long since disappeared. Although Night Sorrow did not feel good about this world, he still went in one direction to find out why Ao Qingwu had entered this world. There are indeed powerful skeletons here. After traveling for 100,000 miles in the dark, Night Sorrow stood on top of a mountain and saw a huge crater on the ground in the distance. Skeletons kept coming out of the crater. Most of the skeletons were upper-level divine feathers, but there were occasional half-step upper god-level skeletons. The frequency was about 1 in 10,000 miles. After these skeletons walked out of the cave, they would wander aimlessly and eventually disappear into the darkness. There must be something strange in the crater. Although it was dangerous to enter the crater, Night Sorrow did not hesitate. He jumped down from the mountain and ran toward the place where the skeletons kept coming out of. There were too many skeletons. A battle was inevitable. Night Sorrow, holding the 1,000-kilogram demon spear, turned into a ray of light and went straight for the skeletons. Soon he started killing. There were too many skeletons, including half-step upper god-level skeletons. Besides, the soul-devouring evil wind was very violent. Night Sorrow used up a lot of energy in the battle. However, every time he killed a half-step upper god skeletons, he would receive golden merit power. It was not a loss. However, there were too many upper-level divine feather skeletons and they were too much of a hindrance. I wonder if the upper-level divine feather skeletons will retreat if I use the merit power to protect myself. When Night Sorrow was in the Endless Bone region, he was only a lower-level divine feathers body refinement cultivator. When he used the merit power to protect himself, the low-level skeletons would retreat. Now he was a middle-level divine feathers body refinement cultivator. When he tried to use the energy shield, he found that all the upper-level divine feathers god skeletons would retreat. Only the half-step upper god skeletons would continue to attack. This way not only was the pressure less, but the efficiency of collecting merit power also increased. If he stood at the edge of the crater and killed the half-step upper god skeletons, in 20 years, Night Sorrow's merit power would increase to 80% of that of a lower-level divine feathers body refinement cultivator. However, he did not stay for long. He walked along the edge of the crater and kept going. With the merit power protecting him, he could save a lot of trouble. He only needed to kill the half-step upper god skeletons. He walked along the slanted and narrow crater and kept going underground. After about 30,000 miles, Night Sorrow gradually felt that the strength of the soul-eating evil wind had increased to a level that was unbearable for him. At the same time, his perception in the dark was further reduced. He could not even see things 100 meters away. This caused an indescribable pressure to rise in Yishang's heart. He thought to himself, will there be endless darkness if I keep going? Clang. At this moment, a figure in the darkness suddenly attacked and slammed into Yishang's chest. Night Sorrow, who was leaning against the wall, was directly smashed into the mud. It's a sneak attack with the strength of a superior god. Night Sorrow, who was attacked by the sneak attack, felt that his chest was almost broken. He knew that this sneak attack was from a superior god. Chapter 24:33. If an ordinary person was ambushed by a powerful enemy in such a depressing environment, they would definitely be frightened. However, Yishang had been through too many storms, and his mental state had been polished to perfection. Therefore he wouldn't be alarmed even if the sky collapsed or lightning struck his head. Great. I was just worried about meeting an opponent of the upper immortal state to hone my combat skills. Yi Sorrow, who had shouted in the darkness, used the strength of his body to break out of the ground. However, before he could attack, the shadow that had ambushed him disappeared into the thick darkness again. In the pitch-black darkness, there were only the occasional footsteps of the moving skeletons. You have the strength of an upper immortal, but you have to sneak up on me. In the dark, Night Sorrow needed to support the power of merit to fight against the soul-eating evil wind. His body was glowing with golden light, which was quite eye-catching. He simply continued to move forward. From time to time, he would kill skeletons that were half a step away from the upper immortal state to increase his power of merit. He continued to move forward, but the shadow did not appear. However, Night Sorrow could sense danger. He had a feeling that he was being watched. This kind of feeling was very uncomfortable. If you still don't come out, I will continue to move forward and explore the bottom of the giant pit. I will see what is there and then leave. In the dark underground world, there were too many barriers to perception. Night Sorrow had no way of finding the black shadow that had ambushed him, so he could only continue to move forward. Here it comes. This time, Night Sorrow had not walked for more than 1,000 miles when he encountered a skeleton that was half a step away from the upper immortal state. He had just swung his 1,000-catty demon spear when he felt a gust of wind behind his head. Night Sorrow's hair stood on end. He quickly turned his spear and fired. Boom. This time, the 1,000-kilogram devil-vanquishing spear collided with a long, hard rock. Countless sparks flew out from the collision, lighting up the surroundings. With the help of the dim light, Night Sorrow saw that the ambusher was a pale, ape-like creature. This ape-like creature was about the same size as a human cultivator, but its eyes were blood-red and its skin was sickly pale. Furthermore, it had no hair and its limbs were like suction cups that were sucking on the wall in midair. However, the moment Night Sorrow saw it, it flashed and disappeared into the darkness. Although he's a high deity, he doesn't seem to be very strong. In the battle just now, Night Sorrow noticed that these hairless monsters were only slightly stronger than half-step skeletons. They were barely at the level of lesser gods in body refinement, but they weren't particularly strong. But why did I feel that the opponent's aura was so terrifying the first time I was ambushed? Could it be that there was more than one hairless monster here? If there are too many celestial tier monsters, it will be dangerous. Night Sorrow was bold but meticulous. He quickly figured out that something was wrong. Although the two ambushers had the same aura, their strength was different. No, I can't go any deeper. Although Night Sorrow was confident in his own strength, he wasn't so arrogant as to think that he could defeat several high god-level monsters. Now there were at least 2 high god-level hairless monsters. Sensing that something was wrong, he immediately turned and retreated to the entrance. However, Night Sorrow had noticed it a little too late. As soon as he turned and retreated, a black shadow attacked him head-on. Night Sorrow was very familiar with this aura. It was the black shadow that attacked him the first time. It was very fast and ferocious. Again. Don't even think about it this time. Although his perception was still weak in the dark, he could only see up to 100 meters away. The black shadow's sneak attack was also very fast. However, Night Sorrow was prepared at this time. Naturally, the sneak attack wouldn't succeed. The moment the black shadow appeared, Night Sorrow directly raised his spiritual essence smoke, combined with the power of merit and the stellar body. He used the 1,000-ton demon-subduing spear to launch a forbidden attack. Clang! With a loud bang, the tip of Night Sorrow's spear collided with the black shadow. In the light of the collision, Night Sorrow saw that this was a larger hairless monster, twice the size of the previous one. Its strength was also much stronger than the previous one, but it was still sent flying by Night Sorrow's full-strength attack. Although Night Sorrow's body refining level wasn't very high, his true body refining strength was not inferior to that of an ordinary lower deity tier body refining. Coupled with the use of various means, although he didn't kill the hairless monster in a second, he still sent it flying into the wall. How dare you sneak attack me? I'll kill you. Night Sorrow, who had succeeded in his attack, suddenly spread out some of the power of virtue around him, illuminating the surroundings. He was ready to continue attacking and kill the injured hairless monster. Although the effect of resisting the soul-devouring evil wind was weakened, at this time, he activated his spiritual essence smoke and wasn't affected much. 3 god-tier hairless monsters? But as soon as the area within 100 miles was illuminated, Night Sorrow was shocked. Because in addition to the hairless monster he was about to continue attacking and the one that was barely at the level of a supreme deity, there was an even stronger one hanging on the stone wall not far away. The aura of this monster was incomparably strong, and there was a strong murderous aura on its body. It had obviously experienced countless killings. Being stared at, Night Sorrow couldn't help but shudder. It felt as if his life was locked and no longer belonged to him. It's very likely that this is a middle deity tier hairless monster. Even if it's a one-on-one fight, I might not be a match for it. Now that it's 1 against 3, I'll definitely die. If I don't run now, when will I? At this moment, Night Sorrow was in no mood to continue attacking. He withdrew his power of merit and ran with all his might toward the entrance of the sinkhole. Fortunately, the strongest hairless monster was a certain distance away from him and was not in the direction of the entrance. With his life in danger, Night Sorrow was ready to use the secret technique, 7-star rampage, and he was ready to burn his blood essence and absorb it with the ultimate physical conditioning art. Roar! The 2 weaker monsters were obviously not as fast as Night Sorrow and were soon left behind. However, the last one that was discovered let out a ferocious roar and chased after them. Soon the distance between the 2 sides was shortened. From 100 miles away, it shortened to about 30 miles. This is at least a middle deity tier monster. Otherwise, it's impossible to have such speed. In terms of speed, I'm definitely no match for it. I can only use this move now. At this critical moment, Night Sorrow had an idea. He turned all his power of merit into a dragon of merit and attacked the monster that was chasing after him, hoping to slow it down. In the celestial realm, Night Sorrow had been using his power of merit to defend himself. But the fire of merit was effective against all kinds of dark creatures. Otherwise, some of the skeletons in the Endless Bone realm would not have retreated when they saw him activate his power of merit. Roar! The hairless monster that was chasing after Night Sorrow with all its might did not expect Night Sorrow to have such an attack. It could not dodge in time and was burned by the fire and screamed in pain. However, Night Sorrow's power of merit was relatively low in level. The hairless monster was only delayed for a moment before it caught up with him again. Its aura was even more ferocious than before. Chapter 24:34. 30,000 miles was not far for Night Sorrow, whose body had reached the level of a high god. However, the ferocious hairless creature behind him was too fast. As it chased after him, Night Sorrow felt immense pressure. In terms of absolute speed, I don't have the advantage. It's not realistic to try to escape with speed. Since that's the case, let's fight. The situation in front of him clearly showed that there was no way to escape. His body was in a state of running, but Night Sorrow's heart was filled with a strong fighting spirit. He was ready to attack at any time. However, he did not attack immediately. Instead, he continued to escape toward the entrance of the sinkhole. He did this to increase the distance between him and the two weaker furless creatures. If he defeated them one by one, he might have a chance of winning. If it was 1 against 3, he would definitely die miserably. At this critical moment, Night Sorrow gradually calmed down and waited for an opportunity to come. This had always been his fighting style. Close. When he was 20,000 miles away from the sinkhole's entrance, the distance between the two sides was reduced to only 20 miles. In fact, this was already a distance that could be attacked. However, Night Sorrow was still running forward. The furless creature chasing after him had no chance to attack. It was so anxious that it kept roaring, shaking off some rocks. At this time, the second furless creature chasing after him was already 2,000 miles away. The furthest one was further away from Night Sorrow. His strength was indeed much weaker. Here's my chance. 7-star Berserk Dubhe. Suddenly, Night Sorrow, who was waiting for an opportunity to attack, directly used the 7-star Berserk that he had never used before. The 7-star Berserk was divided into 7 levels: Dubhe, Merak, Fekta, Migrez, Alioth, Mizar, and Alkaid. This time, Night Sorrow's Dubhe could actually be called a 1-star Berserk. Its strength doubled. The secret technique, 7-star Berserk, would quickly backfire after using it. Night Sorrow did not want to use the strongest Alkaid until the moment of life and death. Eat my forbidden spear. After using the 7-star Berserk Dubhe, Night Sorrow's body bloomed with intense starlight. The 1,000-kilogram demon subduing spear also bloomed with dazzling light, illuminating the whole dark world. Roar! The furless creature that was still running away didn't expect Night Sorrow to suddenly turn around. It was too late for it to stop, so it could only swing its huge claws to meet the attack. After the two of them exchanged blows, the furless creature that responded in a hurry was directly sent flying. However, its body was very strong, so it did not suffer any serious injuries. Night Sorrow's attack power was still a little lacking against a hairless mid-high god. A large area nearby was shattered into rubble and fell down the slope. For a moment, the entire pit rumbled and a large amount of smoke and dust was raised. This dust was mixed with a sense of evil and coldness, giving people an extremely uncomfortable feeling. Die. Night Sorrow, who was slightly affected by the dust, suddenly felt a little restless. He did not turn around to escape. Instead, he used the 7-star Berserk Skyjade and continued to increase his combat strength. Once again, he fired the forbidden spear at the mid-high god. This time, the slightly injured hairless creature was prepared. However, it had underestimated Night Sorrow's strength. It thought that the power of this move was the same as the previous one, and was sent flying again. Again? Twice, the hairless creature with the strength of an intermediate great god was sent flying. Furthermore, the rubble had basically blocked off the bottom of the sinkhole for thousands of miles. Night Sorrow became more and more courageous as he fought. As he roared, he tripled his strength and thrust out his spear once more. The hairless creature that had just gotten up was blasted away again. Roar! Suffering consecutive losses and suffering heavy injuries, the hairless creature's manic blood was stimulated. It roared at the sky and its body suddenly became 10 times larger. Its originally pale body glowed with an evil black light, and its scarlet eyes were completely black. In an instant, the furless creature's evil aura soared to the sky. That dark, evil aura made people feel very uncomfortable. Even Night Sorrow felt like his mind was being affected. He shook his head and used the power of virtue to dispel the dark aura around the furless creature. This evil aura has the effect of confusing one's mind. If not for the power of virtue protecting him, Night Sorrow would have been at a disadvantage despite his strong willpower. After dispelling the evil aura, he felt a lingering fear. If an ordinary cultivator encountered this dark aura, they would not be able to withstand it. Just as Night Sorrow was momentarily stunned, the enlarged furless creature suddenly roared and attacked him. The dark furless creature looked like an ape, but it was not at all. Its movements were extremely agile, like a ghost. In an instant, it was in front of Night Sorrow. Its attack was not only physical but also came from the dense dark aura. As it approached, Night Sorrow felt his soul begin to corrode. Using the power of virtue to continue dispelling the dark aura, Night Sorrow's counterattack was a little slower, and he was sent flying by the claw. Even with Night Sorrow's strong body, he was still dizzy from the slap. Before he could react, the furless creature roared and attacked again. Then the two of them fought back and forth for a few rounds. However, after a few rounds, although Night Sorrow did not suffer any losses, the two behind him caught up. He could even hear the sound of them breaking stone. This can't go on. I can only go all out and see if I can kill this monster. If I can't, I'll escape with all my strength. Although the previous few attacks had injured the furless creature, they did not cause any substantial damage. This time Night Sorrow went all out. Not only did he activate the power of virtue, essence chi smoke, and Star's tyrant body to the limit, but he also used the 7 Stars Berserk Alcade, directly increasing his strength by 7 times. At the same time, his battle intent had also been refined to a new level. Once again he shortened his left arm and used the limitless body forging art to absorb it. After that, he used the 1000-kilogram demon subduing spear to display the strongest forbidden spear move. This forbidden spear move was different from the usual. It fused the essence of the simple 10 spear moves. With the support of his strong body, he directly stabbed out 10 forbidden spear shadows. In an instant the void was torn apart. The 10 forbidden spear shadows were like shooting stars, incomparably bright, all bombarding the furless creature's body. This time, the furless creature's body was not sent flying. Instead, it directly exploded, turning into a black blood fog. Not good. This black fog is so corrosive. Night Sorrow, who was very close, was surrounded by this black blood fog in an instant. His body was completely enveloped by the black blood fog. Night Sorrow's soul trembled, feeling a huge impact. Extremely violent thoughts rose in his heart, and he had a feeling of wanting to escape into the darkness. I want to return to the Endless Bone region and kill all the cultivators. I want to become the ruler of darkness. I want to return to High Bay City and slaughter billions of people. In an instant, Night Sorrow's thoughts all turned black. However, the backlash of the 7 Stars Berserk secret technique came quickly. He directly collapsed to the ground, completely losing the ability to get up. If not for this, Night Sorrow was afraid that he would directly rush back to the Endless Bone region and start a bloody massacre. At the same time, the 2 furless creatures chased after him one after another. Chapter 24:35. In the dark sinkhole, the skeletons that kept walking out from the depths were temporarily blocked by the falling rubble. Night Sorrow's soul was corroded by the evil aura and the backlash from the 7-star Berserk. He was paralyzed on the ground. The 2 furless high celestial beasts saw that Night Sorrow was surrounded by the black aura and did not immediately attack. They knew that although the middle high celestial hairless creature had been reduced to a bloody mist, it had not failed. It had turned into dark aura and corroded Night Sorrow's soul. If it succeeded, it would be able to control Night Sorrow's soul and thoughts, and Night Sorrow's soul would be completely suppressed. In that case he would only exist in name. Who am I? I am the ruler of slaughter. I am the harbinger of darkness. I am Dark Demon Divine Lord spokesperson. Night Sorrow's mind was filled with all kinds of dark thoughts. These were actually the thoughts of the hairless creature. The aura of darkness could affect a person's mind. Dark Demon Divine Lord spokesperson? Who is Dark Demon Divine Lord? How can I be his spokesperson? Night Sorrow, who felt that he had lost control of himself, trembled when this name appeared in his mind. No. I am Night Sorrow, I am the feather god of merit, I am not anyone's spokesperson. I am me, I am the future sovereign. Demons and monsters disperse. Boom. Yi Shang's body, which had been enveloped by the black blood mist, suddenly exploded with endless golden light. After a short moment of silence, the power of virtue erupted completely. The light seemed to have turned into a sharp sword. No, I will not accept this. Dark Demon Divine Lord my Master, save me. With the support of the power of merit, Night Sorrow's soul completely recovered. The black mist quickly receded. The moment the black fog dissipated, a roar of unwillingness rang out from the sinkhole. This voice made one's heart palpitate, giving one an incomparably evil feeling of oppression. Then, the hairless creature turned into golden light and turned into power of merit that entered Night Sorrow's body. Night Sorrow's power of merit, which was around 70% of his power of merit, rose to the middle celestial level. He exuded a sense of holiness. I can't believe I got so much power of virtue from killing a hairless mid-level high god. Although Night Sorrow was mentally prepared, he was still surprised by the sudden increase in power of merit. However, before he could rejoice, he realized a serious problem. He was now at the end of his rope. Although his power of merit had increased, he had basically used up all his other energy. It would take many years for him to recover. He had completely lost the ability to fight. It was impossible for him to fight two lower high celestial furless beasts with just the power of virtue. After Night Sorrow successfully destroyed the furless creature's invasion and obtained the power of good karma, the two lower high celestial furless monsters went completely berserk. His aura soared as he prepared to tear Night Sorrow apart. Am I going to die here like this? The backlash of the Seven Stars' rage is indeed terrifying. He had no strength left in his body and was as limp as mud. Yishang felt rather helpless. However, if he had not attacked with all his might, he would not have been able to kill the middle celestial level hairless creature. If he had delayed for a while and allowed the other two to come, he would have been in a worse situation. Now he could only use the power of merit that he had just obtained. However, the power of merit of a middle celestial level was not enough to burn the two upper celestial level hairless creatures to death. At most, it could only delay their attacks. Get lost. He's my prey. At this moment, a half-male, half-female voice suddenly came from the entrance of the crater. A moment later, a slim figure appeared on the spot. She was Ao Qingwu. After being scolded, the two hairless creatures seemed to have encountered a great disaster. They were so scared that they quickly ran toward the depths of the crater. Ao Qingwu? Why is your voice like this? It was Ao Qingwu, but her voice was half-male and half-female. Hearing this voice, Night Sorrow shivered awkwardly. Soon he saw some clues. At this moment, Ao Qingwu was very close to him. Under the light of the power of merit, he could see that there was an endless evil black aura on her body. Her eyes had turned completely red, and there was an extremely evil look in her eyes. She must have fought with these dark creatures and had her soul eroded. If I had failed just now, I would have ended up like her. How terrifying. Night Sorrow was scared. However, he soon laughed at himself. He thought that his current situation was not much better than Ao Qingwu's. He did not know what was waiting for him. At this point, Night Sorrow understood that he had been deliberately led here by the other party. Ao Qingwu should have been controlled at that time. Ao Qingwu? She has been completely suppressed by me. There will be no such person in the future. I am the Dark Demon Divine Emperor's subordinate, exalted God Anru. Ao Qingwu had a cold temperament, but there was an evil look on her face that made one's heart palpitate. She continued with an evil smile, I have led you here today because I want to subdue you and make you the spokesperson of the Dark Demon Divine Emperor. Cooperate with us to close the Endless Bone region and let the Dark Demon clan see the light of day again. Close the Endless Bone region? What's going on? Night Sorrow would not give in if the other party wanted to subdue him, not even if he had to die. However, he wanted to figure out what was going on, so he calmly asked in return. The name Dark Demon Divine Emperor gave him a lot of pressure. Not to mention the Endless Bone region, even in High Bay City, no one could fight against the Divine Emperor. If such a terrifying evil existence was released, there would be no doubt that people would be plunged into misery and suffering. As the feather god of merit, Night Sorrow would not let such a situation happen even if he had to die in battle. The Endless Bone region exists to suppress the Dark Demon clan. The Heavenly Bone Pagoda is the core. As long as the Heavenly Bone Pagoda is brought out of the Endless Bone region, the Dark Demon clan will be able to appear in the Endless Bone region and in High Bay City within 100 years. As long as the Dark Demon Divine Emperor descends, all the cultivators in High Bay City will be controlled. They will follow us to battle and kill. Suppressing Ao Qingwu's anger, there was a hint of madness in her tone. She was originally an evil creature born in darkness and suppressed for countless years. The resentment in her heart had swelled to a certain extent. So the Endless Bone region also has the function of suppressing the Dark Demon clan. The Heavenly Bone Pagoda is the most important core. It is equivalent to the Eye of the Formation. Night Sorrow, who originally wanted the Heavenly Bone Pagoda to recognize him as its master and bring him back to the divine world for his family to refine his body, gasped at the thought. If he really made the Heavenly Bone Pagoda recognize him as its master and brought him away, High Bay City would be in great trouble. Now you know the ins and outs of the matter. Choose to submit or die. Night Sorrow remained silent. Suppressing Ao Qingwu's anger, he immediately threatened, "Kneel down and swear the oath of submission immediately. Otherwise you will be torn apart. You are just one of the choices. You must know how to grasp the opportunity." "I choose to submit to you. Kneel down and swear the oath of the Heavenly Tao." Hearing these words, Night Sorrow's face showed a hint of disdain. Submit to these evil creatures living in darkness? How was that possible? He was the feather god of merit, the nemesis of these filthy creatures. What? You don't choose to submit? Ao Qingwu's voice was filled with thick killing intent. Since that is the case, go and welcome death. Chapter 2436. Ao Qingwu's anger was completely suppressed. She already had a strong desire to kill. Seeing that Night Sorrow refused to surrender, she chided him coldly. Then she grabbed Night Sorrow's neck with one hand, lifted him up and pressed him against the wall. Then she turned her other hand into a claw and tore off a large piece of translucent flesh from Night Sorrow's chest. Night Sorrow's body had evolved to that of a middle-level divine feather god, but his strength was similar to that of a lower-level divine god. However, he was easily torn apart by Ao Qingwu. The area that was torn apart was immediately invaded by an evil dark aura. However, the dark aura was immediately dispelled by the power of merit in Night Sorrow's body. The power of merit was definitely the nemesis of the dark aura. "Is this all you've got, the so-called divine god of the Dark Demon clan?" Seeing that the power of merit had automatically dispelled the dark aura, Night Sorrow had an idea. He thought of a counterattack and cursed, "I hope you can still be arrogant later." Ao Qingwu's demonic voice was cold from the inside out. This was the voice of an evil demon. After speaking, Ao Qingwu's body was controlled by Ao Qingwu. She turned her hand into a claw and stabbed it into Night Sorrow's chest. She wanted to dig out his heart. "I'll let you have a taste of the most primitive way of killing." Ao Qingwu's cold voice was emotionless. It was as if she had come from hell. The voice coming from Ao Qingwu's body was extremely out of place. "The most primitive way of killing? Why don't I show you something more advanced?" Night Sorrow, whose heart was torn apart, suddenly roared, "Fire of merit, burn for me. Ao Qingwu, this is all I can do. I'll leave the rest to you." In an instant, a large amount of golden light bloomed around Night Sorrow's body. This golden light turned into a dragon of merit and coiled around Ao Qingwu's body. After doing all this, Night Sorrow had completely lost all ability to resist. He could only pin his hopes on Ao Qingwu. He hoped that she could defeat Dark Fury and regain control of her body. Although he was Ao Qingwu's enemy, Night Sorrow wanted to kill a dark creature like Dark Fury even more. When his soul was corroded by the hairless creatures, he felt the terrifying murderous intent of these dark creatures. Being burned by the fire of merit, the black gas around Ao Qingwu's body was instantly burned away. Then the power of virtue entered his body and continued to purify the aura of darkness. The black aura between Ao Qingwu's brows was much fainter. A bright light slowly rose up in his eyes. It was clear that she, who had been completely suppressed, suddenly felt a trace of life force and was desperately resisting. "Ao Qingwu, don't disappoint me. After all, you used to be one of the 4 great experts of the Endless Bone realm. Unleash some of your heart of the strong. Now you are not only fighting for yourself but also for the entire Endless Bone region." Night Sorrow, who was completely powerless, could only shout, hoping to stimulate Ao Qingwu's inner blood. She was a dragon. Her body and soul were strong to begin with, but now she was completely suppressed. Ao Qingwu continued to battle with Dark Fury. Her soul even felt like it was being torn apart, causing her to howl incessantly. This kind of roar sounded very scary, and it shattered the surrounding stone walls. It was very powerful. Her palms had completely turned into dragon claws, and she clawed at her surroundings continuously, completely out of control. "It's not that easy to break free from my restraints. Ao Qingwu, you will forever be my servant. Don't struggle, it will only make you more painful." Then Ao Qingwu spoke as if she was talking to herself. It was clear that Dark Fury was still in control now. Ao Qingwu, you are a dragon. You have a noble soul. Defeat it, kill it. Don't give it any chance. Even if Ao Qingwu won, she might not let him go, but Night Sorrow still hoped that she would win. At this moment, Night Sorrow noticed that the blood in Ao Qingwu's eyes had faded a lot, and her pupils had returned to black. It looked like she was recovering her lost ground. I said it's not that easy to break free from my restraints. However, after a while Ao Qingwu's eyes turned blood red again, and she looked even more evil. Oh. When her eyes turned completely blood red, Ao Qingwu suddenly screamed. The situation was reversed once again, as if the wind and clouds were changing. Darkness descends. Every time Ao Qingwu struggled, she would be suppressed more violently. It was like a situation where the devil was 10 feet taller. Very soon she was suppressed again. Dark Fury seemed to be invincible, and it could regain the upper hand every time. It was much more powerful than the hairless creature that Night Sorrow killed. They were not the same creature, and the strength of the dark aura was very different. I must do something. The battle between Ao Qingwu and Dark Fury had obviously entered the climax. Both of them had a chance of winning, but Dark Fury had a greater advantage. Night Sorrow was now under a few pieces of gravel, but he could see Ao Qingwu waving her claws crazily not far away. Ao Qingwu was facing Night Sorrow, and her eyes and facial expressions were all seen by him. Seeing that she was suppressed, Night Sorrow could not help but worry. He sensed some of the power of merit that he had recovered into her body again. Activate. Bloodline of the True Dragon. The golden power of merit entered her body again, and Ao Qingwu's eyes became much clearer. Taking advantage of the short moment of clarity, she roared into the sky and activated the power of her bloodline. Although she was still in human form, her aura was many times stronger, and so was her soul. Her aura was completely different, and it gave people a sense of invincibility, as if she was a sacred ancestral dragon from ancient times. Oh no! She has activated the power of her bloodline, and it's very difficult to suppress her. Dark Fury sensed the change in Ao Qingwu's aura, and he immediately felt himself being suppressed. The situation that he originally had the upper hand had obviously changed. You want to reverse the situation? It's not that easy. Dark Fury, who had temporarily gained the upper hand and controlled Ao Qingwu's body, revealed an extremely evil smile. Then he reached out and untied Ao Qingwu's robe, turning her into a little lamb in an instant. Dark Fury knew all the weaknesses of human nature, and he wanted to use this method to distract Ao Qingwu. As long as she was distracted, he would have an opportunity to take advantage of. Bastard! You deserve to die. Ao Qingwu had always been a reclusive and cold person. Even when interacting with friends, she had always maintained an appropriate distance, and had never acted intimately. Now her body was being controlled by Dark Fury, and she had taken off all her clothes, allowing Night Sorrow to see through her. This made her cheeks burn, and the anger in her heart completely exploded. She, who had already activated the power of her bloodline, instantly gained the upper hand, and this made Dark Fury feel even more pressure. At this moment, Night Sorrow maintained his see no evil mode and turned his head to the side. Just now he did not expect Dark Fury, a great deity, to use such a despicable method to distract Ao Qingwu. Thus he accidentally saw her naked, and it was very awkward. Ao Qingwu was from the Black Dragon clan, but she had already cultivated into a human body, and was no different from a human cultivator. You're really not easy to deal with. But do you think this is the end? Impossible. Dark Fury, who had used his evil trick, felt that Ao Qingwu had become even more difficult to deal with under her anger. The next time he regained control of the body for a short moment. Controlling Ao Qingwu's body, he directly removed the rocks on Night Sorrow's body, pounced on him, and started to rub against him crazily. What is this? You two are fighting, why are you using me? At this moment, Night Sorrow felt rather depressed. He had exhausted too much of his body, and he had no ability to resist at all. If he had the slightest ability to resist, he would not have allowed Dark Fury to do whatever he wanted. Chapter 2437. Ao Qingwu's personality was extremely cold, but she was rubbing herself against his body passionately. This made Night Sorrow very awkward. He thought to himself that he might have been let off by Ao Qingwu after he saved her. Now that something like this had happened, even if Ao Qingwu won in the end, she would definitely kill him. As for Dark Fury's victory, he would not have a good ending either. He was in a dilemma now. How can I turn the tables in such a hopeless situation? Night Sorrow would not let anyone take advantage of him, and he kept thinking of a solution. At the same time, Ao Qingwu, who had regained control of her body, realized that she was rubbing herself against Night Sorrow's body naked. She looked extremely flirtatious, and there was no trace of coldness left. She was so angry that smoke rose from her head and she roared crazily. This dragon roar directly caused the sinkhole to collapse, burying all of them inside. When Ao Qingwu went crazy for a short while, Dark Fury seized the opportunity to compete with her again. The competition between them had completely entered a state of life and death. Ao Qingwu was still in control a moment ago, and Dark Fury was in charge the next moment. When he was in charge, Dark Fury was really unscrupulous. Not only did he control Ao Qingwu's body, but he also molested Night Sorrow even more deeply. He even used words to seduce Night Sorrow, and his hands did not stop touching Night Sorrow's body. F***ck. Dark Fury, you are really courting death. In the process, Night Sorrow, who had recovered some power of merit, injected it into Ao Qingwu's body again without hesitation. Dark Fury was once again suppressed by Ao Qingwu, and he did not have the upper hand for a long time. You reap what you sow. Feeling that Ao Qingwu's body was getting colder and colder, Night Sorrow knew that she should have won and become herself again. Congratulations, you have become yourself again, Ao Qingwu. Ao Qingwu's victory came very suddenly. At this moment she was still entangled with Night Sorrow. The situation was quite awkward. Night Sorrow felt that if he did not say anything he might be killed by Ao Qingwu instantly. After all, he did not have any ability to resist at this moment. Moreover, he had so many family members to protect and he did not want to die here. Do you think that you won't die just because you said a few words and helped me? It would have been better if Night Sorrow had not spoken. Ao Qingwu immediately exploded when she heard what he said. After putting on his clothes, he carried him out of the crater and returned to the Endless Bone domain. Carrying Night Sorrow back to the Endless Bone region, he threw him on the ground and stepped on his chest. Although you saved me, I should thank you. However, you have already become my inner demon. Today you will definitely die. Tell me, do you have any last wishes? I'll help you fulfill them. It can also be considered as repayment for saving my life. You don't have the ability to fulfill my last wish. Just kill me. Night Sorrow did have a lot of things to do. He didn't want to die, but he was like a fish on a chopping block. He didn't have the ability to resist and could only be slaughtered. The only thing to blame was that he had accidentally fallen into Dark Fury's trap today. If he had not been curious and followed Ao Qingwu into the dark area, none of this would have happened. Since that's the case, then go to hell. Ao Qingwu, who was gasping for breath, had a face as cold as 10,000 years of ice, without a trace of blood. With that, he slapped Yi Shang's head with his palm. Night Sorrow didn't have the ability to resist at all. He could only take Ao Qingwu's slap. Ao Qingwu was a true god of body tempering. After being hit by this slap, Night Sorrow's body had already reached a certain level of strength, but he still felt like his head was about to explode. Looks like it's really a disaster today. In the Endless Bone region, there were only him, Ao Qingwu, and Feng Ling. Night Sorrow felt that there was no one who could stop Ao Qingwu from attacking him. There was no point in saying anything more. He might as well not say anything more. The current Ao Qingwu gave off an aura that wouldn't stop until she killed someone. Go to hell. Ao Qingwu, who didn't kill Night Sorrow, was a little stunned. However, she didn't hesitate and slapped again. She was prepared to completely smash Night Sorrow's head. Stop. You can't kill him. However, at this moment, a voice suddenly rang out. Mo Yuqian, who looked slightly wretched, suddenly appeared. In a flash, he carried Night Sorrow away and dodged Ao Qingwu's slap. Who are you? How dare you interfere in my business? Aren't you afraid of being killed? He's my inner demon. Don't be a busybody. Seeing that Night Sorrow was about to be killed but was saved, Ao Qingwu immediately questioned him furiously. Haha, your inner demon is yourself. It has nothing to do with anyone else. Even if there was no Night Sorrow, there would still be Night Black and Night White. You can only blame yourself for not having enough willpower. Mo Yuqian, however, had a smile on his face. He didn't seem to care at all and didn't seem to be afraid at all. Brother, run quickly. Don't worry about me. You're no match for her. She's already a god of body tempering. Seeing that Mo Yuqian had saved him, although Night Sorrow was grateful, he was worried about Mo Yuqian's safety. He remembered that when he saw Mo Yuqian before, he was still far from a god of body tempering. He couldn't possibly be Ao Qingwu's match. Run. No one can escape today. Ao Qingwu's face darkened. She threw a slap in Mo Youqian's direction. This slap turned into a claw and was very aggressive. Hidden wrath. It hasn't been completely destroyed. At this moment, Night Sorrow noticed that Ao Qingwu's eyes were obviously red. Although hidden wrath had been suppressed, it still affected her mind and made her extremely violent and murderous. Haha, bastard of the dark world. How dare you stir up trouble here? Look who your grandfather is. Disperse. Mo Yuqian faced Ao Qingwu's attack that was affected by hidden wrath. However, he didn't panic. He didn't attack but shouted the word disperse. It's you? Here. Gold-bodied divine emperor. After Mo Yuqian shouted, a huge black shadow immediately emerged from Ao Qingwu's body. It shouted in fear and was ready to escape into the black wind pillar and return to the evil dark world. Ao Qingwu's body fell down softly. At this moment she was in a similar state as Night Sorrow. She was completely exhausted. Being possessed by the demon and having her soul controlled, she had used up a lot of energy. Haha, trying to escape? With just you? Mo Youqian's body was slightly hunched. He looked a little wretched, but at this moment he looked extremely holy and tall. His arm quickly reached out thousands of miles and caught the black shadow in his hand. As he opened and closed his palm, he directly crushed it and turned it into dust. The whole action was very casual. Brother. You're a divine emperor? Mo Yuqian gave off an extremely strong feeling. Night Sorrow and Ao Qingwu, who had just recovered, were stunned on the spot. After a short silence, Night Sorrow asked in surprise. Very good. You didn't change the way you address me because of my change. You're indeed the successor chosen by me, gold-bodied divine emperor. Mo Yuqian looked at Night Sorrow with a gentle smile on his face. I'm the successor chosen by brother? Night Sorrow was clearly a little taken aback. At the same time he thought of the Tao comprehension wine. Without it, he wouldn't have been able to find the Genesis essence. Without the Genesis essence to strengthen his body, he wouldn't have been able to achieve his current achievements in body tempering so quickly. Chapter 2438. You're right, the opportunity in the Endless Bone Realm was indeed given to you by your brother. Mo Yuqian smiled faintly and continued, however, there are many things that I will tell you after I save Qingwu. After saying this, Mo Yuqian brought Night Sorrow and Ao Qingwu to a majestic cultivation room on the top floor of the sky-reaching bone tower. He gave Night Sorrow a drop of Genesis essence and told him to heal his body while he used a secret technique to save Ao Qingwu. In truth, Night Sorrow was only exhausted and would recover with enough time. Ao Qingwu was not only exhausted, but her soul had also been seriously injured. If no one treated her, she might not be able to recover for the rest of her life, leaving a shadow in her heart that would be extremely detrimental to her cultivation. Time flew by and 30 years passed in the blink of an eye. On this day, Night Sorrow let out a deep breath and slowly opened his eyes. He saw Mo Yuqian looking at him with a smile and Ao Qingwu, who had already recovered, standing beside him. Night Sorrow, who had completely recovered, felt that his condition was even better than 30 years ago, perhaps because of the uniqueness of this cultivation room. His strength had increased slightly. He stood up and walked towards the two, ignoring Ao Qingwu and bowing to Mo Yuqian. Thank you for saving me this time. Otherwise I would have already died. The gratitude he felt towards Mo Yuqian was not fake. As for Ao Qingwu, he did not have a good impression of her and felt that she was unreasonable. Brother Night Sorrow, you don't have to be so polite. Actually, I have my reasons for saving you. The smile on Mo Yuqian's face vanished as he said solemnly, actually it's not just you. Qingwu is also the person I chose. Your friend Jingyun is also the same. It's just that my expectations for you are different, so the strength of my support is also different. Following Mo Yuqian's explanation, Night Sorrow and Ao Qingwu understood that the opportunities they had obtained were intentionally given to them by the other party. Of course, they had also experienced some trials in the process. In the end, Night Sorrow obtained a large amount of Genesis essence to strengthen his body, allowing him to advance from a low-level feather god to an intermediate-level feather god, greatly increasing his strength. Ao Qingwu had obtained a small amount of Genesis essence of heaven and earth, but she had also obtained some opportunities at the bottom of the underground river and successfully became a high god of body refinement. As for Jingyun, after receiving the baptism of the Tao comprehension wine, her comprehension ability had greatly increased, and she had successfully awakened her true phoenix bloodline. Everyone's gains were not small. "Senior, why are you doing this?" Upon hearing his words, Ao Qingwu asked with a cold expression. She never looked at Night Sorrow. Sigh. "I'll have to start from when I fought against Dark Demon Divine Monarch." Mo Have Money sighed and said, "That was a matter of more than 10 reincarnations ago. At that time Haibei City was very prosperous. At the same time 3 monarchs, me Zhenyuan and Ao Fong, appeared. I specialize in body refinement. Zhenyuan has a powerful soul force, and is good at artifact forging, alchemy and formations. Ao Fong is the most talented in cultivation, and his bloodline is unique, and his combat strength is the strongest." With a gloomy expression, Mo Have Money recounted the events of that year from beginning to end. At that time, 3 cultivation geniuses of the same age suddenly appeared in Haibei City. They all had the opportunity to break through to the Divine King realm, and constantly improved through competition. But before they could fully mature, a shocking crisis erupted in Haibei City. The Dark Demon Clan, the Soul-Devouring Beast Clan, and the Dark Murloc Clan that were originally hiding in the dark erupted at the same time and attacked Haibei City together. These 3 clans each had 2 or more monarchs, and their methods were extremely special. They had the ability to confuse the souls of cultivators. In a few decades, nearly half of the cultivators in Haibei City were lost. The numbers of the 3 evil clans were increasing day by day. If this situation continued for a long time, Haibei City would sooner or later become the base of the evil clans. At that time, City Lord Ao Fong found Mo Have Money and Divine Monarch Zhen Yuan at the critical moment to discuss countermeasures. They decided that the 3 of them would each suppress a clan. In the end, City Lord Ao Fong killed his way to the bottom of the sea and found the nest of the Dark Murloc clan. He fought against 2 and killed the 2 monarchs of the Dark Murloc clan. He also died because of this. Divine Monarch Zhen Yuan, who was supposed to marry his fiancée Long Tianqing, also died in battle. Although he did not kill the monarchs of the Soul-Devouring Beast clan, he refined his own Dharma treasure into a cave residence and completely suppressed the Soul-Devouring Beast clan in a crack in the east of Haibei City. Mo Have Money, the Golden Body Divine Monarch who was famous for his body refinement, fought until the end and killed the monarchs of the Dark Demon clan. He used the sky-reaching Bone Pagoda as the eye of the formation and used the Endless Bone Realm to suppress the entire Dark Demon clan. The price he paid was that his body was forcefully shattered. In order to prevent his soul from being corroded, he fused his soul into the sky-reaching Bone Pagoda and became an artifact spirit. The Dark Demon clan and the Soul-Devouring Beast clan were all suppressed. The Dark Murloc clan, which had lost 2 experts, did not dare to cause trouble. They retreated back into the deep sea and did not dare to come ashore for a few rounds. It could be said that Mo Have Money, Zhen Yuan and Ao Fong sacrificed themselves in exchange for the peace of Haibei City. "Old brother, you refined yourself into an artifact spirit?" Hearing Mo Have Money say that he had become an artifact spirit, Night Sorrow's heart ached. He wanted to say something but could not. Old brother is fine. Aren't I living well? As long as the sky-reaching Bone Pagoda is here, old brother will not die. Mo Have Money was carefree and said, "Old brother brought you guys this opportunity because the Dark Demon clan is starting to stir again. It should be because the Dark Demon Divine Monarch that I injured back then is showing signs of recovery. Old brother hopes that you guys can sneak into the Dark Domain and do some things. Originally I had high hopes for Wuxia. Unfortunately, 3 years ago he obtained an opportunity and left." Wuxia? The legendary Wuxia Divine King? Hearing Mo Have Money's words, Night Sorrow was clearly stunned. He thought of the most famous genius of Haibei City, the Wuxia Divine King. He was the only one who had become the Divine King in Haibei City's last 10 reincarnations. He was the supreme king in the hearts of Haibei City's people, a great figure whose name would be immortalized for generations to come. Wuxia indeed became the Divine King. It seems that brother Ao Fong and brother Zhenyuan were also deceived by him. Otherwise, no matter how talented he is, it would be impossible for him to become a god king in just a few eras. Hearing Night Sorrow's words, Mo Have Money was so angry that his teeth itched. Back then, Wuxia appeared in the Endless Bone region and relied on his extraordinary talent to gain Mo Have Money's favor. He swore that after obtaining the inheritance, he would go to the Dark Domain to kill the heavily injured Dark Demon Divine Monarch. However, after obtaining the most important opportunity in the Endless Bone region, he directly left the Endless Bone region after his strength increased. It could be said that he was ruthless. Mo Have Money had already become an artifact spirit and could not leave at all. After Wuxia left, Mo have money observed Ao Qingwu for 2 eras and found that although Ao Qingwu's talent was not as good as Wuxin's, she was already the #1 genius in the Endless Bone region. He took a step back and quietly brought her some opportunities while observing what happened next. Chapter 2439. It was rare to see such a person in the entire God world, but now he had appeared in the Endless Bone region. This was fate. Mo Yuqian knew that those who were blessed with good karma were unquestionable in terms of character, and karma was the nemesis of all sorts of evil spirits. Night Sorrow's talent was also more outstanding than Ao Qingwu's, and he could easily fight above his cultivation level. Hence, he had given the Genesis essence of heaven and earth originally prepared for Ao Qingwu to Night Sorrow to change his body, allowing him to obtain one of the greatest opportunities in the Endless Bone region. As for giving Jing Yun the opportunity, he had not done it casually. Jing Yun's bloodline talent was extremely outstanding, and her cultivation was also very high. It was just that her body tempering talent was slightly lacking. He had given her the opportunity to improve her body tempering ability. It had also brought her another great opportunity. At the same time, he had considered the future of High Bay City. If she returned to High Bay City, she would be much stronger than in the Endless Bone region. Wu Xen, the Divine King, is actually such an ungrateful person. Night Sorrow sighed as he thought of Wu Xen, who was revered by everyone in High Bay City. Ao Qingwu stood where she was without saying anything. She was still digesting everything Mo Yuqian had said. Wu Xen took away the most important opportunity in the Endless Bone region, but did not bear the responsibility he should have. I can only place my hopes on you guys. Mo Yuqian's expression was clearly a little gloomy. However, this is very unfair to you guys. Because Wu Xen took away that item, you guys will only have a slim chance of survival if you enter the Darkness region. How can we kill the heavily injured Dark Demon Divine Lord? Night Sorrow did not say whether he would go or not, and directly asked for the details. Ao Qingwu still did not speak. Although Dark Demon Divine Lord is heavily injured, the only thing that can kill him is the Sun Devourer Bao. You guys will not be able to kill him no matter what. Mo Yuqian explained and continued, now that we are in the Darkness region, what we need to do is strengthen Dark Demon Divine Lord's seal. However, there are many high god evil creatures in the Darkness region, and it is very dangerous. Senior Qingwu is willing to go. However, Qingwu does not want to enter the Darkness region with him. He is not worthy to travel with me. At this moment, Ao Qingwu, who had been silent all this while, suddenly spoke. She was still brooding over what had happened in the past. She didn't do anything to Night Sorrow because of Mo Qianqian. After all, he was her savior and had given her a great opportunity. Upon hearing Ao Qingwu's words, Night Sorrow thought to himself that there was really nothing likable about this person. She was blindly arrogant and could not see the road ahead clearly. He was a typical example of someone who had high standards but little ability. If you go alone, it's no different from throwing your life away. As soon as I entered the sinkhole, I encountered 3 high celestial furless monsters. Night Sorrow said coldly, your strength is not as good as mine. I'm afraid it will be difficult for you to sneak 30,000 miles. If not for that, how could you have been controlled the last time? Just like Ao Qingwu, he didn't want to work together with the other party. However, Night Sorrow knew that it would be difficult for him to do this alone, so he didn't make a fuss about it. Now that Ao Qingwu had spoken, he also retorted. Brother Night Sorrow is right. It's impossible for you to complete this mission with your own strength. Moreover, even if you and Night Sorrow work together, it would still be difficult for you to complete this mission. Mo Qianqian looked at the two of them and said, I'm very happy that the two of you are willing to go. However, you need someone's help. Whose help do we need? Is it Feng Ling? I won't work with him even if I die in battle. Upon hearing this, Ao Qingwu's expression turned even worse. She hated Night Sorrow and hated Feng Ling. According to her analysis, in the Endless Bone region, other than her and Night Sorrow, only Feng Ling had the strength to participate in this mission. Anyone else would be courting death. I'm very worried about working with an idiot like you. The person you're talking about must be Jing Yun. Upon hearing this, Night Sorrow shook his head helplessly. Mo Qianqian had just mentioned that he would give the opportunity to him, Ao Qingwu, and Jing Yun. It was obvious that Jing Yun was the other key person. If it was Feng Ling, Mo Qianqian would have given the opportunity to him long ago. However, Ao Qingwu mentioned him immediately. This was a little ridiculous. Jing Yun? What's her strength? I've never heard of an expert called Jing Yun in the Endless Bone region. Jing Hong is not bad, but he's already dead. Ao Qingwu said faintly. Night Sorrow is right. The person who will go with you is Jing Yun. Although she's not strong, she can play a very important role. At this point, Mo Chanchan frowned and said, however, she needs to get through the calamity in front of her first. Or rather, it's an opportunity. As for Feng Ling, his character is not good enough, and his talent is not enough. I know the calamity. It's from Feng Ling. Why do you say it's an opportunity? Night Sorrow did not understand this at all. I don't have time to say more about this. If you want to save her, you have to go and help now. Otherwise, even if she gets the opportunity, it will probably end in tragedy. As for me, I can't attack cultivators, Mo Chanchan said. It was obvious that Jing Yun was in danger now. You're saying that Jing Yun is in danger now? Night Sorrow immediately looked at Mo Chanchan anxiously. He did not want anything to happen to any of his friends. Feng Ling's plan has already started. It'll be too late if you don't go now. Mo Chanchan said to Night Sorrow, then looked at Ao Qingwu and said, to resist foreign aggression, we must first stabilize the internal situation. Feng Ling is vicious and must be eliminated. You go and help. Ao Qingwu responded unwillingly. She was very unwilling to cooperate with Night Sorrow. How did such a person become a legend? Night Sorrow's impression of Ao Qingwu was getting worse and worse. However, he did not care too much about it. He directly left the cultivation room on the top floor and appeared at Feng Ling's hiding place. At this moment, Feng Yi, who had already cultivated to the high god level of body refinement, was guarding outside the cultivation room with a beaming face. He felt carefree after breaking through to the high god level of body refinement in such a short time. If he did not need to help Feng Ling, he would have walked outside the bone pagoda to show off his strength. You really dare to come and cause trouble? Are you tired of living? Seeing Night Sorrow, who was only at the middle-level feather god level of body refinement, appear, Feng Yi, who had reached a new level, had obvious disdain in his eyes. Although Night Sorrow had broken many records in Feng Yi's eyes, that did not prove anything at all. A high god of body refinement was the most powerful person in the Endless Bone region. Nothing else mattered. You think you're worthy of saying that? Should I say that you overestimate yourself or that you're short-sighted? Feng Yi had just become a high god of body refinement and was not worthy of Night Sorrow's attention at all. He wanted to attack after saying that. However, Feng Yi's expression changed drastically. He saw Ao Qingwu slowly approaching from behind. Ao Qingwu's aura was that of a true high god of body refinement and was much stronger than Feng Yi's. Don't be afraid. If you want to kill Night Sorrow, I won't help you. I'll give you a fair chance to fight. In response, Ao Qingwu explained immediately. Idiot. Seeing Ao Qingwu's reaction, Night Sorrow scolded her for being an idiot. Ao Qingwu's friends were killed by Feng Ling's men and Feng Yi must have been involved. At this time, she did not rush forward to take revenge but pointed the blame at him. How brainless was she? There was no logic to speak of at all. Who did you say? Ao Qingwu, who was scolded, glared at him. I said that you're an idiot and an idiot. I really don't know how you cultivated to your current strength. If you still throw a tantrum after we enter the Dark Shadow domain, I will kill you immediately. Night Sorrow said coldly as he looked at Ao Qingwu. You want to kill me? Dream on. Ao Qingwu was furious and the aura around her became several times colder. I can't be bothered to talk nonsense with you. Feng Yi, you've seen enough. Do it. Night Sorrow was angry because of Ao Qingwu for no reason and was ready to vent his anger on Feng Yi. Chapter 2440. For the sake of the Sir Divine Lord, I won't kill you, but I will teach you a lesson. But at this moment, Ao Qingwu moved closer, preparing to attack Yishang to teach him a lesson. Her behavior was very disgusting. Ao Qingwu, do you know the purpose of my trip? Night Sorrow asked coldly. Of course I know. However, you caused me to delay for 3,000 years and I lost all my friends. If you want to save your friends today, you have to go through me. This is the cycle of karma, Ao Qingwu said with a hint of mockery. In the end, she just wanted to make things difficult for Yishang. Good. Very good. You are very good. Very good. Ao Qingwu had tried to kill him several times, but Night Sorrow had temporarily let it go for Mo Chanchan's sake. At this moment he was in a hurry to save Jing Yun, but she tried to stop him. She was asking for death. Yishang said good a few times in a row and said coldly, I won't take the initiative to attack you today. However, I am in a hurry to save Jing Yun. If you dare to stop me, I will kill you. There will be no reconciliation. Night Sorrow hated people like Ao Qingwu who didn't know what was important. At this moment he had made up his mind. If she continued to provoke him, he would kill her. The most important thing for Night Sorrow now was to save Jing Yun. Whoever tried to stop him would die. There was no reconciliation. His family and friends were his scales of wrath, and no one could touch them. You want to kill me? Then I will fulfill your wish. Let's fight. At this moment, Ao Qingwu's hands turned into 2 dragon claws and attacked Night Sorrow fiercely. In this regard, Feng Yi was dumbstruck as he watched from the side. He thought in his heart, these 2 people came together, so why did they start fighting? However, he was happy to be at ease and watched the show with a smile on his face. Now that Feng Yi was a body-tempering superior god, he felt that he was the highest existence in the Endless Bone region and had more courage. You are courting death. After Night Sorrow had achieved something, he was no longer easily angered. However, at this moment he was completely enraged by Ao Qingwu. He took down the 1,000-kilogram demon-subduing spear from his back and unleashed the forbidden 10 spear strikes that he had recently comprehended. 10 spear shadows with extremely powerful auras met Ao Qingwu's dragon claws and attacked at lightning speed. Boom! As the 2 of them collided, Ao Qingwu was directly sent flying. There were several wounds on her chest, and every spear strike brought out flesh and blood. The power of Night Sorrow's furious attack was no small matter. At the same time, Ao Qingwu, who had made the first move, was attacked by lightning. The area where the fight took place was not in the cultivation room, but in the corridor of the sky-reaching Bone Pagoda. The attack was not particularly fierce, but it put her in a very difficult situation. I've underestimated you. But don't think that you've won. I will definitely kill you today. Ao Qingwu, who had been sent flying by Yi Shang, was immediately enraged. He immediately used his secret technique to increase his strength by several times and attacked Night Sorrow again. She felt that he had succeeded because she was careless. Now she had used all her strength. This was already a desperate attitude, but she did not use her most powerful trump card directly. I think there is something wrong with your brain. Night Sorrow, who was completely enraged, saw Ao Qingwu attacking with all her strength. He immediately used his Essence Chi Smoke Power of Merit and Star's Mighty Body. With these enhancements, he used the Forbidden Spear Strike that condensed the power together. This time, the Forbidden Spear Strike combined the power of 10 spears, and its power was extremely terrifying. The tip of the spear drew a streak of light and went straight for Ao Qingwu's throat. This time he did not choose to fight head-on, but wanted to kill directly. She attacked in such a dangerous situation. No matter what she said, it was unforgivable. Real Dragon Bloodline. Activate. Seeing that the situation was not right and that she could not withstand Night Sorrow's attack, Ao Qingwu immediately activated her Real Dragon Bloodline. Even so, Ao Qingwu's neck was pierced by the spear. However, she was a superior god of body tempering, and her body was very strong. Moreover, she had activated her Real Dragon Bloodline, so the spear did not pierce through. You activated your Real Dragon Bloodline for this attack. How are you going to block the next attack? Night Sorrow, who had succeeded in one attack, was very experienced in battle. After gaining the upper hand, he continued to attack and completely suppressed Ao Qingwu. At this point, Ao Qingwu was a little confused. She realized that she could no longer suppress Night Sorrow with her strength. The key was Night Sorrow's power of merit and the spear technique that was much more terrifying than before. These were simply heaven-defying in the Endless Bone territory, and she lost the confidence to fight back. I am actually not as good as him. Ao Qingwu, who had been continuously attacked by the lightning, was already in a sorry state. After being continuously attacked by the 1,000-kilogram demon-subduing spear, she quickly lost the ability to fight back. She realized that even if she activated her Real Dragon Bloodline, she could not withstand Night Sorrow's attacks. She could not help but be confused. Go to hell. Ao Qingwu, the former powerhouse. Suddenly, Feng Yi, who was watching the show, suddenly raised the long sword in his hand and slashed toward Ao Qingwu's head. At this point, Ao Qingwu was in a very sorry state. She no longer had the ability to block this attack. Shameless scoundrel, this is not a battle that you can participate in. Ao Qingwu had no ability to fight back at all, but Night Sorrow gave up on continuing to attack her. He directly attacked Feng Yi with his forbidden spear. Feng Yi, who had focused all his attention on Ao Qingwu, had just advanced to the superior god level. How could he block this attack? In an instant he was turned into ashes. He had cultivated to the superior god level, but he was killed instantly after just one attack. It was really tragic. You actually saved me. Ao Qingwu, who was saved, was obviously stunned. At the same time, she did not expect Night Sorrow to be so powerful that he could kill a superior god with one attack. This was something that she could not do no matter what. I didn't save you. I just couldn't be bothered to kill you in a 2-on-1 battle. I said if you continue to pester me I'll kill you. As he said this coldly, Night Sorrow raised his hand and fired a shot. At the same time, a female cultivator's wail was heard in the cultivation room. The wail was very painful and had changed its tone. However, Night Sorrow could tell that it was definitely Jing Yun. What kind of pain did a cultivator go through to be able to let out such a wail? Hearing this, Night Sorrow's heart ached. He no longer cared about Ao Qingwu and sent her flying. He turned to look at the door of the cultivation room. After gathering his strength for a moment, he sent a kick forward. With a boom, the heavy black iron door was kicked open. After attacking the door of the cultivation room, the superior god-level lightning quickly blasted toward Night Sorrow. However, in the face of the terrifying lightning, Night Sorrow was not in the mood to care. At this moment, Feng Ling had already taken Jing Yun's bloodline and had a look of enjoyment on his face. Meanwhile, Jing Yun was lying on the ground on the verge of death. There was no trace of blood on her face. After her most important true phoenix bloodline was taken, her life was coming to an end. She did not have much time left to live. I'm late. Night Sorrow, who was resisting the lightning, had tears in his eyes. His heart ached. He wanted to carry Jing Yun, who was unable to get up, but he was afraid that she would be attacked by the lightning. He could only stand far away. It's not your fault. This is my fate. I have to go through this fate. Jing Yun was very weak. Night Sorrow had never seen such a weak cultivator. However, there was nothing he could do. Chapter 2441. Night Sorrow. Can you hug me? I'm so cold. I'm really so cold. Jing Yun's face was completely pale. Her originally black hair had already turned white, as if she had aged billions of times in an instant. She looked so weak that it was as if she would completely leave this world with just a raise of her hand. The flames around her body also became weaker and weaker. They could only cover her body and no longer gave off any heat. She looked completely like a lamp that had run out of oil. But the lightning that attacked me will hurt you. Night Sorrow, who was about to go crazy and kill Ao Qingwu and Feng Ling, temporarily suppressed his anger and replied gently. He was furious and wanted to kill, but he still went to Jing Yun first. However, he did not carry her, afraid that the lightning would hurt her. TSK. It's really a good show where the romance between a man and a woman is long and the hero is short. Feng Ling, who was handsome but had a hint of evilness in his eyes, looked at Night Sorrow and Jing Yun with disdain, then turned and left with a smile. At this moment he had just taken Jing Yun's bloodline and was not suitable for battle. Seeing that Night Sorrow ignored him, he used this opportunity to escape from the cultivation room. Now that he had taken the true Phoenix bloodline and solved the bloodline problem that had troubled him for many years, Feng Ling was in high spirits. I'll let you be free for a while. After this is over, I'll come and take your life. Night Sorrow naturally would not let go of a scourge like Feng Ling. However, to him, his friends were obviously more important than revenge. He looked at Jing Yun with pity. Jing Yun, who was lying on the ground, looked up at Night Sorrow and forced a smile. I'm already like this. Why should I be afraid of lightning? Even if it's an attack from the Divine King or the ruler, I'm not afraid. Night Sorrow, who had never experienced life and death, felt indescribable. He felt that he was in so much pain that he could not breathe. Withstanding the pressure of the lightning, he hugged Jing Yun in his arms. The corners of his eyes were wet. Jing Yun, who was in Night Sorrow's arms, showed a gratified smile. However, she was quickly attacked by the lightning. Not long after, the flames on his body completely disappeared, and his life aura became weaker and weaker. In the end, she completely lost her sense of existence and aura, and her life came to an end. Everything happened too quickly and too suddenly. Jing Yun. In his arms, Jing Yun's fingers gradually drooped down. Night Sorrow murmured. He still had many things he wanted to say, but at this moment he couldn't say anything. Recalling everything that had happened between the two of them after they met, she felt an inexplicable sadness. Although they hadn't interacted much, Night Sorrow had a good impression of Jing Yun. He felt that she had a good personality and gave people a comfortable and gentle feeling. If I had come earlier, things wouldn't have turned out like this. At this moment, Night Sorrow was feeling very bad. His heart was filled with boundless regret and self-blame. If he hadn't used 30 years to recover, how could things have developed to this point? Why did it have to be this little bit of time? Night Sorrow bit his lips and hammered the ground unwillingly. He really felt regretful. Ever since he left Bamboo Garden Village and started cultivating, this was the first time he had experienced the shock of losing a friend. Does the realm of the gods have to be so cruel? Night Sorrow roared in his heart. His determination to become stronger became even stronger. If one wasn't strong enough, they wouldn't be able to protect the people around them. This was an eternal and bloody truth. Boom. Boom. Endless thunderbolts continued to bombard his and Jing Yun's bodies. How could this be? Suddenly, Night Sorrow realized that Jing Yun's body, which had lost the flames, didn't disappear under the bombardment of the thunderbolts. Instead, it gradually produced a trace of luster. It was as if she had absorbed the power of the thunderbolts and used it to increase the strength of her body. Jing Yun is dead. How could such a change happen? Without any signs of life, Jing Yun was undoubtedly dead. Night Sorrow couldn't help but feel puzzled about this. Although he had seen or heard of all kinds of strange things after cultivating for so long, this was the first time that Night Sorrow saw a dead person refining their body. Jing Yun wouldn't have turned into a strange creature, right? Night Sorrow couldn't feel Jing Yun's soul at all. He couldn't help but worry that she would turn into a zombie or something. What's going on? The strength of Jing Yun's body has increased so quickly. While holding Jing Yun's body and bathing in the thunderbolts, Night Sorrow realized that the strength of her body quickly increased from the half-step upper god realm to the upper god realm. This speed of improvement was simply unheard of. As the strength of her body increased, Jing Yun's originally dull body gradually emitted a luster. As time passed, her lifeless body began to become sparkling and translucent, as if she had turned into a sparkling and translucent white jade. Her white hair also gradually turned black and it was extremely glossy. Her vitality has become so strong. Is she going to recover? In the world of cultivators, anything could happen. Seeing that Jing Yun's body gradually became full of vitality and then developed into a full of vitality, it was completely different from the aura of death. Yishang's brows immediately relaxed. His heart was filled with excitement and agitation. Bathed in the thunderbolts, although Jing Yun's body was naked, she gave people a sense of holiness and couldn't have any thoughts of blasphemy. Her aura continued to increase. Later, the strength of her body continued to increase. According to Night Sorrow's estimation, she had already surpassed Ao Qingwu. Her body has undergone such changes after losing the power of her bloodline. Could this be the opportunity that brother was talking about? Seeing all the changes in Jing Yun, Night Sorrow, who was resisting the thunderbolts, thought to himself and analyzed the possibilities of the matter. In any case, he was happy to see such changes. How could this be? However, at this moment, Night Sorrow's eyes were filled with worry. The aura of Jing Yun's body was still increasing. In the end, she might have absorbed too much energy and exceeded the capacity of her body. Gradually, cracks appeared on the surface of her body. These cracks gradually spread and looked very terrifying. Faced with such a sudden change, Night Sorrow was helpless. He could only carry Jing Yun out of the cultivation room and then leave the Sky Bone Pagoda to prevent her from being attacked by the thunderbolts again. However, the thunderclouds that attacked them from the Sky Bone Pagoda chased after them and continued to attack the two of them. How could this be? Didn't they say that once we leave the Sky Bone Pagoda, we won't be attacked by the thunderbolts anymore? The thunderbolts that continued to attack the two of them didn't weaken at all. Instead, they became even more ferocious. In the end, there were even middle-level great deities. Even Night Sorrow couldn't withstand it. Needless to say, Jing Yun's body was bathed in the thunderbolts and was quickly broken into pieces. It was very miserable. Jing Yun. Damned thunderbolts, quickly disperse. Seeing that Jing Yun's body was broken into pieces and the vitality that was originally produced was also dissipating bit by bit, Night Sorrow roared in anger. However, the thunderbolts didn't stop and continued to attack the two of them. Most of them bombarded Jing Yun's broken body and directly turned it into dust. In the end, there was no trace of her left in the world. Not even a speck of dust was left. Only Night Sorrow stood between the heavens and the earth, staring blankly at the thunderbolts above his head. How could this be? She clearly produced vitality, so why? Night Sorrow was speechless. He had endless doubts in his heart, but no one could say anything. He had been happy just a moment ago, but now he was suffering another blow. This was too cruel. Even if Night Sorrow's heart was like a boulder that couldn't be moved by wind, it was still very difficult for him to bear. Screech. At that moment, the thunderbolts in the sky suddenly let out a high-pitched screech. Then, a flame full of vitality completely burned in the thunderbolts, dyeing the entire sky red. Could it be that Jing Yun isn't dead? Night Sorrow's heart skipped a beat when he heard the bird screech. He knew that the Phoenix clan was very special, so he stood in place and observed. The latter's flames completely burned, burning the entire sky. Screech. After burning for a total of 49 years, a phoenix cry came from the sky once again. A huge phoenix bathed in flames spun its body and soared into the sky. Its aura was so grand that it seemed to be able to split the heavens and earth. Chapter 2442. Annihilation in the Lightning, Nirvana in the Lightning. Jing Yun finally made it through. Mo Yuqian appeared behind Night Sorrow. He looked at the sky and preached with a hint of relief. "Brother, do you know what happened?" Night Sorrow looked at Mo Yuqian. He naturally knew that Jing Yun had been reborn, but he couldn't figure out the details. "Of course I know. This is also the reason why I didn't ask you to save her in time." Mo Yuqian nodded and explained, "Her bloodline was stolen. This is naturally a tragedy. However, the Phoenix race is very special. They have at least one chance to be reborn. Now that Jing Yun has been reborn, her body will directly advance to the body refinement high god level. The reawakened bloodline will also be much stronger than the one Feng Ling took. It will be second only to the ancestral Phoenix bloodline. Her future path would be a smooth one. If nothing goes wrong, it won't be a problem for her to advance to the Divine King level." So Jing Yun has benefited from this disaster? Not only has her body improved greatly, but even her bloodline talent has improved again? This is a good thing. Hearing Mo Yuqian's explanation, Night Sorrow's eyes lit up. He was truly happy for his friend. Not only did Jing Yun not die, but her strength had also improved greatly. This was definitely a pleasant surprise for him. Although the process was very painful, she succeeded in the end. "Come, let's drink some wine to celebrate." Mo Yuqian smiled and took out the Tao Comprehension wine. This time, he directly handed a wine gourd to Night Sorrow and said, "This is the last pot of Tao Comprehension wine. I'll give it to you." "Brother, this is too precious. I can't accept it." Night Sorrow heard that it was the last pot and hurriedly declined. "Take it. Now that Feng Ling and Ao Qingwu have left the Endless Bone region, I can only beg you and Jing Yun to do that thing. The dark region is very dangerous. You will definitely die in this trip. However, for the people of Hai Bei City, I can only be thick-skinned and beg you." Although he had already become an artifact spirit, Mo Yuqian's eyes were still a little dim. He was a little disappointed. Wu Xin was a typical ungrateful villain, needless to say. Mo Yuqian was disappointed in Ao Qingwu. He did not expect her to be so ignorant as to stop Night Sorrow and leave the Endless Bone Realm through the Challenge Tower after her defeat. She did not even say goodbye to him. Now that he had asked Night Sorrow and Jing Yun to complete this mission, it seemed like he was forcing them, but he had no other choice. Because the resources in the Endless Bone Realm had been almost depleted, it could not nurture any more experts. Furthermore, Dark Fiend's Celestial Lord had completely broken free from the seal and would not take too long to fully recover. There was not enough time to nurture more experts. "Brother, don't say that. Saving a life is better than building a 7-storied pagoda. For the sake of so many cultivators in Hai Bei City, I, Night Sorrow, am willing to take this risk. Since that's the case, I won't reject the Tao Comprehension wine." Night Sorrow also understood that the dark dimension was very dangerous, and there were evil creatures everywhere that could corrode souls. The Tao Comprehension wine could ensure the clarity of one's soul, which was extremely important for this trip. After receiving the wine gourd, Night Sorrow raised his head and drank a mouthful. He praised, "This is really good wine." After drinking it, his soul became much clearer, and his comprehension increased by a lot. "Ah, good wine deserves a hero." Mo Yuqian laughed. At this moment, the fire phoenix circling in the sky turned into a human figure and flew in front of the two of them. "Thank you for saving my life, master." Jing Yun was wearing a set of armor formed by flames. The armor flickered with lightning constantly, looking very dazzling. She flew to the two of them, smiled at Night Sorrow, and then knelt down to Mo Yuqian. In fact, after being captured by Feng Ling, Jing Yun's heart had been filled with despair. It was Mo Yuqian who had appeared and analyzed the situation for her. Only then did Jing Yun understand that her bloodline being snatched was actually a great opportunity for her. As long as her will to live was strong enough, she would be reborn and become stronger. Now, not only did she become a body-tempering immortal after being resurrected, her bloodline talent was also close to perfection. Jing Yun was very grateful for Mo Youqian's reminder. There's no need to call me master. You and Night Sorrow can just call me elder brother. I'm just doing what a senior should do. Mo Youqian smiled and helped Jing Yun up. He continued, now, not only do you control the power of fire but you can also control the power of lightning. These two powers are the bane of evil. It is Night Sorrow's fortune to have you as a helper on this trip. Before this, Mo Youqian had already told Jing Yun about the opportunity and the difficulties that Night Sorrow would face. Jing Yun will definitely not let you down, elder brother. Jing Yun was also a heroine and didn't hesitate too much. She got up and called him elder brother. That's good. Go and meet your friends. Find me at the top floor of the Bone Pagoda in 10 years. A gratified smile appeared on Mo Youqian's face. He was very satisfied with both Night Sorrow and Jing Yun. Both of them were very talented and most importantly they had good characters and a sense of responsibility. They definitely weren't a villain like Wu Xen. Thank you. If you didn't attract the lightning I wouldn't have been able to reach Nirvana. Mo Youqian's figure disappeared. Jing Yun smiled at Night Sorrow and bowed. I thought I appeared too late. Who knew that everything was within elder brother's calculations? Seeing you return safely, I'm very gratified. The smile on Night Sorrow's face wasn't fake at all. He was really happy. Not one step too early, not one step too late. You came at the right time. This is fate. Jing Yun smiled but frowned. But there's one thing, what do you say? What do you mean? Night Sorrow was clearly stunned. You've seen my body more than once. What do you mean? Although I'm from the Phoenix race, I'm no different from a human cultivator. My body was seen and I was taken advantage of. And you even hugged me. Jing Yun's eyebrows carried a hint of anger, as if she was a little angry. This was all an accident. Night Sorrow couldn't think of the answer to this question for 10,000 years. He could only smile awkwardly. He already had so many wives at home. He didn't want to create any more love debts. I'm just teasing you. Look at how scared you are. Seeing Night Sorrow's awkward expression, Jing Yun smiled. Now that I've been reborn, my body's strength has greatly increased. I'm not used to fighting. Let's try this out. What Jing Yun said was the truth. She became stronger almost overnight. She definitely wasn't used to her current strength and speed. Alright, I'll fight with you. When you're used to your current realm, we'll go find Yunxia, Holai and Gengchen. They're very worried about your safety. Night Sorrow knew that Jing Yun's words made sense. And this way he could get over the awkwardness. He naturally nodded in agreement. Alright, then take one of my moves. Phoenix Cry of the Nine Heavens. Unlike the other cultivators in the Endless Bone realm, Jing Yun directly used a sound wave attack. The high-pitched Phoenix Cry was used at close range. Night Sorrow felt his soul tremble. What a powerful attack. If Night Sorrow's soul wasn't very strong, he might have been defeated by Jing Yun in one move. After barely resisting this move, Night Sorrow waved his hand and struck out. After all, this was just a test. He didn't need to use the 1,000-ton demon subduing spear, nor did he use any secret techniques. You don't seem to be my match. Facing Night Sorrow's palm, Jing Yun smiled. She waved her hand and struck out with a flaming palm. Night Sorrow was blasted hundreds of miles away. The two of them didn't use any secret techniques. This proved that Jing Yun's physical strength had surpassed Night Sorrow's. Impressive. Let's go again. Night Sorrow was very happy for Jing Yun after being pushed back by a palm. In the past, Jing Yun was so weak that she couldn't even resist the soul-devouring evil wind. She had to rely on his power of merit to enter the array with him. Now she had become a body-refining deity in such a short time. Even he felt ashamed of himself for not being able to improve at such a speed. This time, Night Sorrow activated his vital essence smoke signal and Star's tyrannical body. His strength had increased significantly. He attacked Jing Yun again. The two of them weren't fighting to the death. They were just testing the strength of their strength. Therefore his speed wasn't fast. Good. Then let's go again. Jing Yun smiled slyly. When their palms met, she struck out with a scarlet flame. What's going on? Night Sorrow didn't expect that she would suddenly shoot out flames. He was caught off guard and his clothes were completely burned. Now we're even. Seeing Yishang's face full of embarrassment after his clothes were burned, Jing Yun smiled beautifully. Chapter 2443. Night Sorrow would never have thought that the gentle Jing Yun would do such a naughty thing. He was caught off guard and had his clothes burned. He was so embarrassed that he didn't know what to do. Ah, just kidding. Look at you. Jing Yun chuckled and shot out a flame. The flame turned into a green armor that wrapped around Night Sorrow's body. It freed him from his embarrassment and made him look more heroic. The green armor formed by the flame was different from Jing Yun's red armor. It didn't have lightning flashing on it, but it had high defense and didn't need divine yuan qi to protect its owner. It was definitely a rare treasure in the Endless Bone realm. What is this? The armor is very tough. It should be able to withstand the attack of a high god. Yishang asked in surprise. He could sense that the armor was at least as strong as a high god of body refinement. As a member of the Phoenix race, I awakened a powerful bloodline and obtained an ability. I can use the flame to make 2 sets of armor. Mine is the Phoenix armor and yours is the Phoenix armor. It's called the Azure Phoenix armor. Due to my strength they are only at the level of a low god. Jing Yun explained and smiled. 10 years from now we might have to go to the dark dimension for an adventure. This will help you increase your strength. But this is too precious. I have nothing to repay you with. As the saying goes, one should not accept a reward for nothing. Yishang was very embarrassed to accept such a precious gift from Jing Yun for no reason. You don't have to repay me. If you hadn't broken open the door of the cultivation room and attracted the lightning, I wouldn't have been able to reach Nirvana. You saved my life, so I'll give you an armor. It's very fair. Jing Yun looked at Night Sorrow and asked, Do you think my life isn't as precious as an armor? No, that's not what I meant. I'll just accept it. Night Sorrow hurriedly denied and said, Let's continue to spar. Let's see what special abilities the other party has. This way we can understand each other and it'll be beneficial for our trip to the dark dimension. Yes, that's right. Officially entering the dark domain should be extremely dangerous. It can be said that there is only a slim chance of survival. We have to do our best to increase our strength so that we can have a chance of returning. Jing Yun nodded with a serious look on her face. She had learned from Mo Chantian that the dark domain had given birth to more than one monarch god. From this she could estimate that there must be many high gods there. The dark region was the same as the Endless Bone region. One couldn't use divine essence qi at all. Everything depended on the strength of the body refinement realm and the various techniques of the body refinement realm. Jing Yun's advantage was that she could control the power of fire and thunder. This was a unique talent in the Endless Bone realm. Furthermore, it could unleash a terrifying sound wave attack. This could be considered a trump card. Alright, let's begin. After getting Jing Yun's approval, Night Sorrow said a few words and began to display his skills. He displayed all his abilities apart from the 7 stars Berserk. Naturally, not all of his attacks were aimed at Jing Yun, but they were enough for her to sense his true strength. Good move. If we were to fight, I'm afraid I would be killed by you. After seeing Night Sorrow's various skills, Jing Yun exclaimed in admiration. She knew that Night Sorrow's fighting ability was especially strong and she was no match for him. However, after Jing Yun's demonstration, Night Sorrow realized that her abilities were indeed not weak. The power of fire and thunder were extremely terrifying when used. In the past, Jing Yun was much weaker than Night Sorrow. However, after such a short period of time, both of their strengths were about the same. It could be seen that the opportunities she had obtained were not inferior to Night Sorrow's. Let's go and see Yun Xiao and the others. After both sides understood each other, Jing Yun suggested. Alright, I'll lead the way. Night Sorrow naturally agreed. He knew that Zhu Yunxia, Ho Lai, and Geng Chen were also very worried about Jing Yun's safety. After that, the two of them went to the cultivation room where the others were. Seeing that Jing Yun had returned in one piece, Zhu Yunxia immediately shed tears. She gave her a hug and said emotionally, It's great that you can return in one piece. Was Feng Ling killed by Night Sorrow? She did not know that Jing Yun had actually died once. Now that she had returned from Nirvana, she would probably cry even harder if she knew. No. Feng Ling has already escaped from the Endless Bone region. However, I will personally take revenge this time. He won't be free for a few more years. Thinking of the persecution that Feng Ling had brought to her, a trace of killing intent flashed through Jing Yun's watery eyes. She released her sharp aura. Zhu Yunxia, Ho Lai, and Geng Chen immediately felt her strength. This is the body-tempering strength of a high god. Young mistress, when did you become so strong? Holai immediately asked, dumbfounded. The three of them had once been Jing Hong's subordinates and respected Jing Yun very much. However, the Jing Yun of the past was definitely a burden. Now that she had become a high god in body tempering, their jaws dropped. I obtained some opportunities. However, my strength is still a bit weaker than Night Sorrow's. Jing Yun glanced at Night Sorrow and said faintly. To anyone, Night Sorrow's strength could be described as abnormal. He was only an intermediate divine feather, but his combat strength was already stronger than most lesser high gods. This kind of person could be compared to the legends. He's an anomaly. Holai admired Night Sorrow's strength even more. There was no need to measure it by body tempering level. Now that Feng Ling and the others have left the Endless Bone region, the three of you can move freely and increase your strength. Seeing that Holai had brought the topic to himself, Night Sorrow smiled and said confidently, if nothing unexpected happens, Jing Yun and I will be able to take you out of the Endless Bone region when we return. Really? We can leave this place soon? Gung Qin asked excitedly. The three of them really did not want to stay in the Endless Bone region for another day. When they heard Night Sorrow's words, they immediately jumped for joy. It's true. I'm confident. Night Sorrow said confidently. He could not make the sky-piercing bone tower recognize him as its master, but he knew the rule maker Mo Yuqian. As long as he said a word, they could leave at any time. However, now that Feng Ling had left the Endless Bone region, the three of them would be in danger if they left rashly. It was best to wait for him and Jing Yun to return. Of course, he would set a time with Mo Yuqian. If they did not return by the time, he would let them leave. After that, Night Sorrow and Jing Yun chatted with Zhu Yunxia and the others for a while. They went to see Mo Yuqian together. 10 years was too long. They did not want to wait. I'm very happy that the two of you have arrived so quickly. Mo Yuqian had originally given them 10 years, but the two of them had arrived in just a few days. This proved that they were very determined. Every day we delay increases the chances of Dark Demon Emperor breaking the seal. We can't waste any time. Now that Night Sorrow had experienced Jing Yun's nirvana, he was especially concerned about time. Yes, you're right. You are people who will achieve great things. However, there are many high gods in the dark dimension. There might even be upper gods or half-step divine lords. Going like this is no different from courting death. Mo Yuqian looked at the two of them and said, I will use 1,000 years to change your auras. Back then, I used this method to sneak into the dark dimension, ambush Dark Shadow Divine Lord, and kill him. After that, I injured Dark Demon Emperor and sealed him under the 1,000 Cave Mountain. Change our auras? You want us to disguise ourselves as dark creatures? Night Sorrow had an impression of the hairless dark creatures in the sinkhole. Yes, there is a hairless creature in the dark dimension called the gorillas. Their bodies are very similar to apes. You can transform into them. As for the change of auras, leave it to me. Mo Yuqian nodded and continued, come with me. There is a special place in the Endless Bone region that can help you do this. However, the prerequisite is that your souls are tough and strong enough to not be corroded by the dark aura. Is that dark aura very scary? Jing Yun, who had just experienced nirvana, asked. She was definitely someone with a strong will to be able to undergo nirvana and be reborn. However, she didn't understand the so-called dark aura. That aura is very scary. Even Ao Qingwu, who was once one of the 4 great experts and had successfully become a high god of body refinement, had her soul corroded and she lost control of her body. If it wasn't for some things that happened later, she would have been suppressed forever and become someone's puppet. Night Sorrow, who had been corroded by the dark aura, explained with a solemn expression. The corrosion of his soul back then wasn't very strong, but it made him lose his mind for a while. The corrosion of the dark aura that Ao Qingwu had experienced was obviously stronger than what he had experienced. Although she was later cured by Mo Yuqian, her personality had changed a lot. From this, it could be seen. Chapter 2444. Her soul was suppressed and she lost control of her body. She became a puppet controlled by the dark creature? That aura is so terrifying? Jing Yun knew Night Sorrow's character well. He would never exaggerate. If even he said it was terrifying, then it must be extremely terrifying. She felt a chill run down her spine. It's more terrifying than I imagined. You must not be controlled by that aura. It's like a maggot in your bones. If you can't get rid of it completely, you'll be affected even if you treat it. Mo Yuqian sighed. If I'm not wrong, Qingwu's personality has changed greatly even though she was successfully treated. She wasn't like this in the past. In the past, Ao Qingwu was incomparably beautiful. Although she had a cold personality and was somewhat arrogant, there was absolutely no problem with her character. Otherwise, Mo Yuqian would not have groomed her as his successor after suffering an unintentional blow. When Knight Sorrow met her for the first time, he saw her crying for her friend. She must have been someone who valued relationships. But now her personality was strange. She must have been affected by the dark aura. She had already left the Endless Bone region and no one knew what the future held. I see. Then there's a big problem. Hearing Mo Yuqian's words, Knight Sorrow also felt that something was wrong. Ao Qingwu was indeed very different from when they first met. She must have been affected by the dark aura. He could not help but worry. He was afraid that Ao Qingwu's personality would continue to change and cause trouble in Hai Bei City. She was a lower-level superior god. Even if she did not use her divine Yuan Qi and soul power, she could still pose a threat to most cultivators in Hai Bei City. Perhaps only the 5 high gods would be able to fight against it. So, now we can only take one step at a time. Mo Yuqian looked at Knight Sorrow and said, Dark Demon Divine Emperor is a bigger threat. Let's deal with him first. Okay, that's all we can do. Knight Sorrow nodded in agreement. He knew that the time rules of the Dark Domain were the same as the Endless Bone region. As long as he left the Dark Domain quickly enough, he could return to Hai Bei City in a month or two. Even if Ao Qingwu's personality changed in a month or two, there should be a limit. She would not completely fall into darkness and cause a fatal blow to Hai Bei City. The environment I've brought you into is very special. It can taint your bodies with a strong dark aura. In the next 1,000 years, you need to maintain a clear soul and learn how to control this aura. If you master it well, you can control the weaker dark creatures in the dark sector and get the information you need. Knight Sorrow's tenacity didn't need much to be said. Jing Yun's soul was just as tenacious after her death. Mo Yuqian was very confident in the two. After that, he brought the 2 people left behind by Dalong Taosha into an extremely special cave. This valley was hidden within a black wind pillar. The aura of darkness was very heavy, but there were no dark creatures within. In the following period of time, Knight Sorrow and Jing Yun transformed into the appearance of a gorilla. While adapting to the changes in their bodies, they gradually got used to the invasion of the dark aura. In the beginning their movements were very awkward, but as time passed they got used to it. After all, their bodies were very strong, so doing any movement was not a problem. It just needed a process of getting used to it. After 1,000 years, the 2 of them had completely adapted to fighting in their guises and could even control the aura of darkness. After everything was ready, Mo Yuqian called the 2 to his side and handed them a divine talisman. This divine talisman was made by an invincible divine lord. What you need to do is to sneak into the Thousand Cavern Mountain and insert the divine talisman into the formation trapping the dark demon. Leave it with me. I can control the shape of my armor at will. It can preserve the divine talisman so that it won't be easily detected. Jing Yun took the divine talisman and stored it in her armor. At this time she had the appearance of a hairless gorilla. Her body looked very pale and was full of dark aura. In fact, she was wearing armor. Knight Sorrow was in the same situation. However, he couldn't control the armor at will, so it wasn't easy to preserve the divine talisman. He carried the Enlightenment Wine Gourd and 1,000 Catty Demon Subduing Spear on his back. There's one more thing. Brother Knight Sorrow, although your 1,000 Catty Demon Subduing Spear is very strong, it's not at the high god level. It's limited help for this trip. My divine artifact, the Soul-Splitting Evil Vanquishing Spear, is a divine lord level divine artifact. It was lost near the 1,000 Cavern Mountain in the Dark Domain. You can try to find it. However, you have to learn the Soul-Splitting Evil Vanquishing Spear art to be recognized by the artifact spirit. Mo Yuqian was also a spear expert in the past. After he finished speaking, he began to practice the spear art for Knight Sorrow. The Soul-Splitting Evil Vanquishing Spear art had a total of 3 moves. Although Knight Sorrow's cultivation talent was astonishing, it still took him a whole 200 years to completely comprehend and use the 1,000 Catty Demon Subduing Spear. If you encounter any danger, immediately abandon the mission and escape. As long as you escape back to the Endless Bone Realm, not a single dark creature will be able to pursue you. Compared to this mission, I'm more optimistic about your future. However, there's really nothing useful in the Endless Bone Realm right now that can help you increase your strength. Mo Yuqian muttered. If you encounter an opponent that you can't fight against, you can choose to use the Divine Talisman. It's equivalent to a full-powered attack from a half-step Divine King. Only a high-level Divine Lord can barely block it. Even a mid-level Divine Lord would be directly killed. There was a trace of helplessness in his words. If not for Wu Xan back then, Night Sorrow and Jing Yun's strength would have increased by a large margin. Not only did Wu Xan consume a large amount of cultivation resources and take away the Sun Devourer Divine Bow, but he also took away several powerful Divine Talismans. Brother, you don't have to blame yourself. Protecting High Bay City isn't your job alone. You've already done enough. Leave the rest to us. Night Sorrow, who knew what Mo Yuqian was thinking, hurriedly comforted him. If not for Mo Yuqian, High Bay City might have been conquered by the dark apparitions long ago. If that was the case, after Night Sorrow ascended, his entire family might have had their souls corroded. Now it was time for Mo Yuqian to pay the price. However, Mo Yuqian's words also increased the pressure on Night Sorrow. This divine talisman was so powerful that it was equivalent to a half-step Divine King's attack, but it could only be used to strengthen the seal. This proved that the Dark Demon Divine Lord was at least as strong as a high-level Divine Lord. This mission was very dangerous, so dangerous that he couldn't afford to think too much about it. He could only brace himself and do it. Even if we risk our lives, we will stabilize the seal. Jing Yun's face was resolute. Her feelings for High Bay City were even more important than Night Sorrow's. Her family had once had deep roots in High Bay City, but they had been uprooted by their enemies. Then I'll leave it to the two of you. Mo Yuqian solemnly bowed to Night Sorrow and Jing Yun. Only he knew how difficult this mission was. With the strength of the two of them, this was simply an impossible task. Brother, you don't have to do this. Night Sorrow and Jing Yun moved at the same time and hurriedly helped Mo Yuqian up. As a predecessor, Mo Yuqian had fought until his body collapsed and became an artifact spirit, but he still planned for the future of High Bay City. Such boldness made the two of them revere him. How could they accept such a big bow from him? Are you ready? Then they came in front of the Black Wind Pillar. Night Sorrow glanced at Jing Yun and asked, "Yes, I'm ready for anything." Jing Yun nodded seriously. This time they would have a slim chance of survival. She had thought of all the possibilities. Brother, we're going in. Chapter 2445. Take care. Remember to ensure your own safety. The skinny Mo Chanchan watched as the two figures disappeared into the Black Wind Pillar. His face was full of worry. He had given everything he had for High Bay City. Now he could only place his hopes on Night Sorrow and Jing Yun. There was more than one Black Wind Pillar. Night Sorrow chose the one that Ao Qingwu led him to last time. After Mo Chanchan's explanation, he learned that the dark sinkhole was actually the entrance to the dark precinct. The skeletons that kept appearing were born in the dark precinct. Their mission was to use their bodies to consume the energy of the Endless Bone Realm. After some years, the power of the Endless Bone Realm suppressing the dark precinct would loosen. Then, many dark creatures would be able to return to High Bay City. This world gives me an extremely oppressive feeling. It makes me very uncomfortable. Following Night Sorrow into the dark sinkhole, Jing Yun frowned. Not only was there an evil dark aura, there was also a strong aura of death. The aura here was even more evil than the cave they had stayed in for thousands of years. This caused her soul to suffer an extremely heavy impact, and she felt an urge to kill. It felt as if there was something in the bottom of her heart that incited her to kill. Before officially entering the dark precinct, she already had such a feeling. This made Jing Yun very worried about this trip. Don't think too much. This kind of place tests a cultivator's mind the most. If you let your imagination run wild, the consequences will be very terrifying. You need to be as calm as still water to be able to move forward. Night Sorrow gently patted Jing Yun's shoulder and continued, "You just need a process of adaptation. If we walk for a while, we might have to face our first battle. Be prepared." The last time they entered the dark sinkhole, Night Sorrow had encountered 3 Supreme Deity stage gorillas after walking for 30,000 miles. Now he wanted to use the dark aura to control one of them and learn their language and habits. At the same time, he could also have a preliminary understanding of the dark precinct. As for the aura in the sinkhole, Night Sorrow, who had been here before, was much more accustomed to it. Moreover, he had experienced too much since he started cultivating. His mind was tougher than Jing Yun's. "Okay. I will try my best to adapt and not be a burden. You have to have confidence in me." After all, Jing Yun had never done such a thing before. She was still a little nervous, but this was normal. Seeing the determination in Night Sorrow's eyes, her nervous mood gradually calmed down. Hee, don't be afraid. In the first battle you will support me and see how I deal with them. If nothing unexpected happened, they would encounter the two gorillas from last time. Night Sorrow thought that the opportunity for revenge had come. Although he couldn't use his power of virtue, he had already adapted to this environment after 1,000 years of tempering. This was another manifestation of his combat talent. Last time, when they encountered 3 gorillas, Night Sorrow used all his strength to kill the strongest one. However, he was almost killed by the other 2 beasts. If Ao Qingwu, who was controlled by hidden fury, had not appeared, he might have been killed. Now that he had returned to the sinkhole, he naturally wanted to take revenge. Gurgle. Gurgle. In the dark sinkhole, the rubble that had been knocked down by the previous battle had already disappeared. All kinds of skeletons were still moving forward without any intelligence. As the dark aura on Night Sorrow and Jing Yun was very strong, the skeletons didn't pay any attention to them. The 2 of them used the gorillas to climb into the sinkhole. After walking for about 20,000 miles, they suddenly heard a roar coming from the depths. They looked at each other and walked towards the direction of the sound. Soon, Night Sorrow saw a pale, hairless gorilla hanging on the stone wall not far away. It was the gorilla that first discovered Night Sorrow and Jing Yun, which was why it roared. We meet again. Night Sorrow knew that the gorilla was roaring because it was using the gorilla's unique method to communicate. He didn't understand the meaning of the gorilla's roar at all. He sneered in his heart and quickly ran over. This gorilla was the one that had tried to sneak an attack on him but failed. It had just reached the god realm of body refinement and wasn't very strong. Seeing Night Sorrow rushing over aggressively, the hairless gorilla hanging upside down on the stone wall let out a hurried roar. Although Night Sorrow didn't understand the language of the gorilla, he understood that it was issuing a warning. He imitated the gorilla's actions and roared even more ferociously. He jumped up high and rushed towards the gorilla. Night Sorrow had fought with this kind of gorilla before. He was very clear about their fighting habits and imitated their movements. Jing Yun was a little sluggish when she saw this. If she didn't come with him, she would even think that Night Sorrow was the real gorilla. Boom. The gorilla hanging upside down on the stone wall was immediately enraged when it saw a gorilla with similar aura launching an attack for no reason. It jumped to the ground and madly ran towards Night Sorrow. Dark creatures were heavily influenced by the dark aura. They were extremely violent and had a strong sense of territory. Good timing. Facing the gorilla that was madly running towards him, Night Sorrow started a wild battle with it. This gorilla wasn't strong and wasn't Night Sorrow's opponent at all. Soon it tore off one of its forearms. It was in so much pain that it couldn't stop howling. However, this also stimulated its ferocious nature. It continuously used the dark secret technique and its strength immediately increased by a large margin. This hairless ape is quite strange. It once ran away after sneaking an attack on me. Now that it encountered its own kind, it chose to fight to the death. After analyzing that this might be the gorilla's racial habit, Night Sorrow thought that it was best if it didn't run away. It would be easier for him to use the dark aura to control its soul later. He used the star's tyrant body and similarly increased his strength to continue suppressing the gorilla. Soon, this battle without any suspense came to an end. The gorilla that was continuously attacked had completely lost its ability to fight. Jing Yun, watch it. If there is no accident, there should be another gorilla nearby. I will deal with it and come back to use the dark aura to try to control its soul. This gorilla is relatively weak and is the most suitable target. The last time he entered the heaven pit, Night Sorrow was ambushed and bombarded into the stone wall. That gorilla wasn't weak. If there was no accident, it should be close by. In order to prevent it from ambushing and interrupting the soul control, Night Sorrow was prepared to kill it first. However, as he walked deeper into the heaven pit, the soul-devouring evil wind suddenly became stronger. The blocking of perception became quite serious. The range of perception became closer and closer. Night Sorrow searched for thousands of miles but didn't find the gorilla. Therefore he turned back again. Let's bring this beast out of the heaven pit and use the soul control. It's not safe here. After finding Jing Yun, Yishan said a few words. Then he picked up the dying hairless ape and brought it out of the crater. After finding a large flat area, Night Sorrow told Jing Yun to pay attention to the surroundings and guard against the sneak attack of the dark creatures. Then he controlled the dark aura to envelop the gorilla that had lost its ability to resist. The backlash of the soul control is so strong. Chapter 2446. Soul control was very special. It was either the east wind suppressing the west wind or the west wind suppressing the east wind. As long as it was used, one side would definitely be suppressed. What it tested was the toughness of the soul. It seems that using this kind of secret technique isn't too difficult for me. Although his soul suffered a strong backlash, Night Sorrow, who was sitting on the cold ground, raised the corner of his mouth and revealed a smile. He was not afraid of things like testing the soul. Reality quickly proved that the hairless ape was not a threat to Night Sorrow at all. It did not struggle for long before it completely stopped moving. Obviously, it was under control. So the evil spirit that successfully ambushed me last time was killed by a female cultivator. No wonder I couldn't find it. After controlling the hairless ape, Night Sorrow immediately read all of its memories. After muttering a sentence, a figure flashed in his mind. Wasn't the female cultivator who killed the evil spirit Ao Qingwu? She did not go to Seaside City but entered the dark domain. What is her goal? Could it be that she wants to completely join the darkness? Night Sorrow could not understand why Ao Qingwu entered the dark domain alone, but he immediately became vigilant. Afterward, he continued to read the ape's memories and gained a certain understanding of the dark domain. This was a world filled with blood and slaughter. Its area was thousands of times larger than the endless bone realm. There were several races of dark creatures. These dark races were constantly killing each other. It was very cruel and bloody. The strongest races were the dark demon race and the dark shadow race that had produced divine monarchs. They each occupied half of the dark Holy Land's Thousand Cavern Mountain. The other races were distributed around the Thousand Cavern Mountain according to their strength. The stronger ones had territories closer to the Thousand Cavern Mountain, while the weaker ones were naturally further away from the central area. The ape race was not even in the top 10 in the dark domain. They were considered to have a very low status. Their race had 30 to 40 deities in charge of guarding the sinkhole's passage. Their territory was just outside the sinkhole. Passing through the other races and reaching the Thousand Cavern Mountain was as difficult as ascending to the heavens. This was because Yi Shang had learned from Yen Gui's memories that even the weakest race in the Dark Realm had no less than 10 supreme gods. There were probably over 1,000 deities among the powerful dark races near the Myriad Cavern Mountain. There are so many high gods in the Dark Domain. No wonder it can produce divine monarchs. But that's not right. Logically speaking, since Hai Bei City could give birth to 3 monarchs, there should be quite a number of high gods. Why were there only a few left now? Could it be that something happened? Countless years ago, Hai Bei City was attacked by 3 powerful clans. Although they were no match for them, they were still able to put up a fight. But now the gap between their strength was like heaven and earth. Night Sorrow, who was deep in thought, couldn't figure it out at all, so he stopped thinking about it. Now that he knew that Hai Bei City was so much weaker than Darkness Domain, he was even more determined to seal Dark Demon Divine Lord. He thought to himself, if Dark Demon Divine Monarch breaks the seal, he will most likely find a way to break through the Endless Bone Domain's obstruction and attack Hai Bei City. There were only a handful of deities in Seaside City at the moment. The city would surely be plunged into misery and suffering if the dark races attacked. But what should I do to get close to the Thousand Cave Mountain and seal the Dark Demon again? Night Sorrow, who was racking his brains for a solution, was frowning. Seeing him like this, Jing Yun, who was standing at the side, asked with a worried expression, "Night Sorrow, are you all right?" "I'm fine. I've successfully read all its memories. The waters of Darkness Domain are very deep. Our journey will be full of difficulties." Night Sorrow cut off the control over the hairless gorilla's soul and killed it. Then he told Jing Yun about Darkness Domain. "This Darkness Domain is actually so terrifying. What should we do?" Hearing Night Sorrow say that there were so many high gods in Darkness Domain, Jing Yun, who was mentally prepared, was still shocked. "In my opinion, we need to first blend into the gorillas and wait for an opportunity," Night Sorrow analyzed. "But can we do it?" After all, they were in disguise, so Jing Yun wasn't confident enough. "It's fine. Our aura is no different from theirs. Moreover, the gorillas are basically born in Darkness Domain. They don't have parents, so their origins won't be investigated. Next, I'll tell you the unique language of their race and some other things." Time was of the essence. After Night Sorrow finished speaking, he taught Jing Yun everything he knew. Although Jing Yun's comprehension was very high and she had memorized all the history of the gorillas and learned all their language and movements, it still took her close to 100 years. "We can officially enter the dark sector now. Follow me closely." Night Sorrow was worried that they had been delayed for over 100 years. He was afraid that it would affect the overall situation. He quickened his pace with Jing Yun and re-entered Heaven Pit. This time, in the Heaven Pit where the soul-devouring evil wind was extremely ferocious, Night Sorrow and Jing Yun once again encountered a gorilla. Night Sorrow, who had already learned the language of the gorillas, didn't attack. Instead, he communicated with the gorilla and was quickly let go. This gave the two of them a lot of confidence in blending into the gorillas. The total length of Heaven Pit was about 200,000 miles. However, Night Sorrow and Jing Yun only met 3 gorillas. Jing Yun didn't think much of it. However, Night Sorrow felt that something was amiss. The frequency of this was too low. Could it be that something big has happened to the gorillas and they are unable to send out extra high gods to guard the passage? After thinking for a while, Night Sorrow felt that this should be the case. Standing in front of the passage entrance, he instructed, Jing Yun, in a while we will enter Darkness Domain and do our best to blend into the gorillas. This race is very murderous. We can appear stronger. If the situation goes wrong, we will rush back to the Endless Bone region. They won't be able to enter. Alright, I understand. Jing Yun nodded her head with a grave expression. Then, the two of them entered Darkness Domain hand in hand with apprehension. Originally, they were prepared to be interrogated at the first moment because this was the rule of the gorillas. However, after passing through the passage, they discovered that the gorillas' territory was very chaotic. This was because the leader of the gorillas was gathering his troops. Obviously, a battle was about to break out. This is a rare opportunity. Let's sneak in. The opportunity would not come again. Night Sorrow and Jing Yun immediately took advantage of the chaos to blend into the troop of high gods gathered by the gorillas. The process was very smooth. No one stopped them. However, just as the two of them were rejoicing, the leader of the gorillas, a mid-high god, pointed at Night Sorrow and cursed, "Bastard, who are you? Why are you here?" "What? I've been discovered? How can this be?" Hearing this cold voice, Night Sorrow was shocked. He felt that his disguise was quite good. There shouldn't be any problems. What should we do? Chapter 2447. The leader of the gorillas was a mid-level high god, slightly stronger than the one Night Sorrow had killed back then. Night Sorrow had the confidence to fight him if he went all out, but the problem now was that there were more than 30 high gods around him. Even if the gorillas were not strong, they were not something he could fight alone. The situation was too dangerous. If he was not careful, he could be torn to pieces. If the situation is not good, I will escape alone. I can't drag Jing Yun down. It's not easy to infiltrate the gorillas. I can't let her give up halfway. Yishang's eyes revealed a trace of viciousness as he thought to himself. He was already prepared to attack. He could not win, but he could not sit still and wait for death. Do you want to die? How dare you stand in the group of high gods? Is that where a feather god small fry like you should stand? At this moment, the leader of the gorillas, Yen Kuei, pointed at Night Sorrow and scolded him fiercely. In fact, if it were not for the fact that there were less than 300 of them in the gorillas, he would have attacked immediately. The gorillas had a strict hierarchy, and standing in the wrong place was a serious problem. So this is the problem. I was careless. Night Sorrow had been fighting with high gods recently, and he had subconsciously thought of himself as a high god. But in reality he was only a mid-level feather god. With the strength of a mid-level feather god, standing in the group of high gods was indeed inappropriate. In the dark precinct, strength determined seniority. Him standing in the group was a provocation to the strong. Little brat, with the strength of a feather god, you dare to stand with us? Yenxia will teach you a lesson today. Come out and fight. After the leader of the gorillas, Yen Kuei, finished speaking, a low-level high god gorilla jumped out and pointed at Night Sorrow. The other high god realm gorillas made way for them. Fighting among the dark precinct was too normal. Thank goodness. If my identity was not exposed, I would be in big trouble. The scene in front of her had caught Jing Yun off guard. Her heart was beating fast and she was ready to fight. Seeing a gorilla challenge Night Sorrow, she was obviously relieved. Teach me a lesson? How arrogant. Since I dare to stand here, I naturally have the strength of a high god. Let me teach you a lesson. Night Sorrow rejoiced that his identity had not been exposed. He immediately displayed his berserk strength and used the language of the demons to provoke them. Night Sorrow's movements and speech were no different from ordinary gorillas. This had a lot to do with his 100 years of practice. You're courting death. I will tear you apart. Night Sorrow's provocative words had completely stirred up Gorilla Evil's ferocious nature. Although gorillas were not allowed to kill each other, there were many cases of them accidentally killing their companions. At this moment, Scarlet Evil's entire body was covered in a dark aura. The fangs protruding from the corners of its mouth gave off a bloodthirsty aura. Its heart of slaughter had already risen. "How dare you provoke me? I'll kill you." Yishan roared in an extremely arrogant manner as he faced Xie. Boom. After Night Sorrow roared, the entire group of gorillas became lively. Not a single one of them could defeat a lesser high god at the level of an intermediate feather god. Furthermore, Gorilla Evil was ranked in the top 10 of the gorillas. It was extremely ferocious. Now, a mere intermediate feather god dared to provoke it in front of its entire tribe. This was really unexpected. Roar. "You're dead. I'll fight you to the death." Gorillas were creatures born in the dark dimension. They were extremely evil and murderous. Now that Night Sorrow had provoked them, Gorilla Evil completely erupted. Gorilla Evil roared and jumped high into the air. It raised its fist and smashed towards Night Sorrow's head. It wanted to smash Night Sorrow's head with its fist. "You want to kill me in an instant? How is that possible? You're too naive." Gorilla Evil's movements were very primitive. It was basically the instinct of gorillas to kill. There was not much skill in it. Facing such an attack, Night Sorrow did not feel much pressure. He chose to meet it head-on. The battles between gorillas were basically like this. They relied on their primitive strength to fight. As long as they retreated, they would lose and be looked down upon by their tribe. Boom. Night Sorrow faced the sky and jumped into the air. He waved his fist and collided with Gorilla Evil's fist. The result was that he was evenly matched with Gorilla Evil. After they collided in the air, they were both sent flying hundreds of miles away and landed on the ice-cold ground. This Gorilla Evil's strength is really not weak. Night Sorrow is secretly amazed. This Gorilla Evil's strength exceeded his estimation. He originally thought that Gorilla Evil's strength should be similar to Ao Qingwu's. In fact, Gorilla Evil's strength is much stronger than Ao Qingwu's. Roar. Gorillas were creatures that did not hold back. Every attack would be at full strength. Gorilla Evil's attack did not kill Night Sorrow. It immediately roared and continued to attack with extreme ferocity. "Come on, who is afraid of who? If you dare to be fierce with me, see how I'll slap you to death." Night Sorrow's aura became even more ferocious. He looked like a gorilla and roared towards the sky. He erupted with a world-shaking aura and immediately began to fight with Gorilla Evil. They did not use any secret techniques to increase their battle strength. They relied on the primitive strength of their bodies and fought with their blood gushing out. Gorilla Evil's strength was about the same as Night Sorrow's, but its body was incomparable. Moreover, Night Sorrow had the Azure Phoenix battle armor protecting him. After a few hundred rounds of fighting, Gorilla Evil was covered in wounds while Night Sorrow was unharmed. Seeing that Night Sorrow, a mid-level feather god, could suppress Gorilla Evil, the gorillas in the tribe roared excitedly. The dark races were very violent and worshipped the strong. During the course of the battle, Scarlet Evil panted heavily and gradually lost the ability to fight back. He was beaten by Yishang. It was very angry and powerless. The tribe could not use any secret techniques when fighting, but it was defeated by someone of a higher level. This was a great humiliation. It was so angry that it roared continuously. It could only roar helplessly, "Stop. I admit defeat. I, Gorilla Evil, admit defeat." "Admit defeat? Didn't you say you were going to tear me apart?" Night Sorrow roared and continued to hammer. "Enough. Stop." Seeing that the battle was over, the leader of the gorillas, Gorilla Evil, roared to stop him. After it roared, Night Sorrow, who was riding Gorilla Evil, hammered it more than 10 times before jumping down victoriously. Gorilla Evil had been beaten out of shape and was in a very miserable state. Its head was very low as it silently crawled to the back of the group of high gods. "You are very good, very strong, qualified to stand in the group of high gods. But what is your name? Why didn't you appear before?" After things calmed down and the tribe calmed down, Gorilla Evil questioned Night Sorrow fiercely. His aura was very shocking, very much like the might of a superior. "My name is Gorilla Death. I have been guarding the sinkhole for a few reincarnations. Recently I was summoned and returned to the tribe." After pondering for a moment, Night Sorrow explained in the language of the gorillas. From the gorillas he killed, he already knew about the gathering of the gorillas recently. If it was not so, there would be more than a few gorillas guarding the sinkhole. Moreover, the gorillas guarding the sinkhole were not only high gods but also Feather God realm. It was just that most Feather God realm gorillas died in various battles. Such an answer was basically flawless. However, Night Sorrow was still a little nervous. After all, it was a genuine imposter. But why do you have the aura of a human cultivator on you? Chapter 2448. What? Have I been found out? Hearing this question, Night Sorrow was shocked. He secretly wondered if he had been exposed. However, his current aura was no different from Yen Gui's. Moreover, his speech, actions, and expression were all impeccable. Logically speaking, it was impossible for him to be found out. Could it be the Thousand Catty Demon subduing spear? At this time, Night Sorrow reacted. Although the Thousand Catty Demon subduing spear had been nourished in the dark aura for 1,000 years, it was still from the hands of a cultivator. Thinking of this, Night Sorrow imitated Yen Gui's appearance and grimaced, reporting to the leader. Tens of thousands of years ago, I once controlled a severely injured human cultivator in the sinkhole and read his memories and divine weapon. I also obtained many good things to increase the strength of my body. So that's how it is. Yen Kui stared at Night Sorrow for a while and didn't find anything wrong. He waved his hand and said, "Return to the team. From now on, you will be in the High God team and replace Yen Xie to rule a small team of 10. Yes, leader. Night Sorrow, who had muddled his way through, heaved a sigh of relief. He made a gesture of reverence unique to the Yen Gui tribe and then retreated to the team. All of you shut up for this, lord. Hearing that Night Sorrow had replaced Yen Xie's position, the tribe was a little chaotic. Yen Kui roared. When the team quieted down again, he said in a hoarse voice, "I have gathered everyone here to announce something important. The Dark Demon Emperor will be completely free in 1,000 years. After the Emperor awakens, our Dark Realm will once again launch an attack on High Bay City. This time we will raze High Bay City to the ground and devour all the cultivators." Dark Demon Emperor? It should be the Dark Demon Emperor, right? Its seal will be broken in 1,000 years? Looks like I have to think of a way to strengthen the seal quickly. Hearing Yen Kuei's words, Night Sorrow immediately felt a heavy pressure in his heart. If the Dark Demon Emperor was allowed to escape, the situation of the dark races in the Dark Domain would definitely end immediately. It would lead these dark creatures to break the suppression of the Endless Bone Domain and return to the God Realm. With High Bay City's strength, how could it withstand the attack of so many dark creatures? If Dark Fiend Divine Lord escapes, the consequences will be unimaginable. We have to think of something as soon as possible. Jing Yun, who was standing beside Night Sorrow, was also worried. However, they had just arrived, so it was already not easy for them to sneak into the gorillas. It was extremely difficult for them to get close to the Thousand Cavern Mountain and find the place where the Dark Demon Divine Lord was sealed. Kill all the cultivators. The other gorillas immediately went crazy. They were looking forward to fighting. Those who had participated in the battle back then could even recall the smell of cultivators' blood. This will happen 1,000 years later. I've gathered all of you here because I have something else to do. Yen Kui continued with a voice from hell. 100 years ago, a cultivator of dragons broke into the Dark Domain. In these 100 years she slaughtered 2 races and then disappeared. Divine Lord Anhun of the Dark Demon clan is worried that she will affect the Emperor, so he ordered all the clans to search for her and capture her alive or kill her. Zhao Qinggu. Why did she barge into the Dark Dimension and slaughter 2 races? Night Sorrow was sure that the cultivator Yen Kui was talking about was Ao Qinggu. Ao Qinggu had been corroded by the dark aura and was later cured. However, after she recovered, her temperament changed drastically and she seemed to have turned into a demon. Now that she had appeared in the dark region and slaughtered 2 tribes, Yishang could not understand what was going on. Not only him but Jing Yun was also puzzled. They could not figure out the motive, but they both realized that Ao Qingwu's strength must have improved greatly. Otherwise, she would not have been able to escape unscathed and disappear after destroying 2 races. At the same time, Night Sorrow and Jing Yun also received a piece of bad news from Yen Kui. There was a Divine Lord in the Dark Demon clan. With a Divine Lord, the difficulty of their mission would definitely increase by several times. Leader Yen Kui, I'm the deputy leader of the Soul Devourer clan, God Eater. A cultivator of dragons has appeared and is slaughtering my clan. Our leader is not her match. Leader Yen Kui, please send reinforcements. At this moment, an urgent cry for help suddenly sounded. The cry for help came from the Soul Devourer clan. This was an evil creature born from the Soul Devourer Evil Wind. It looked a little like a praying mantis and its body was as hard as iron. To think that she would appear so soon. This is a chance to make a contribution. Team of high gods, follow me to capture the cultivator of dragons. The rest of you stay in the territory. Although the dark dimension was full of dark creatures, they also had their own natural treasures. As the two major races in the dark dimension, the Dark Demon Clan and the Dark Shadow Clan occupied the Thousand Cavern Mountain and controlled most of the resources. If he could help the Dark Demon Clan capture or kill the Dragon Clan cultivator who was causing trouble at a critical moment, he would undoubtedly be rewarded handsomely. Hearing this, Yen Kuei immediately led his team to the Soul Devourer clan's territory to provide reinforcements. Night Sorrow and Jing Yun, who were traveling with the clan, could only occasionally communicate with their eyes because it was inconvenient for them to communicate. Fortunately, the two had a good understanding of each other and could roughly understand each other. Jing Yun, who glanced at Night Sorrow, was obviously asking him what to do if the cultivator of dragons was really Ao Qingwu. Let's take one step at a time. Without seeing Ao Qingwu, Night Sorrow could not analyze her situation at all. He felt that he could only act according to the situation. That's the only way. Jing Yun nodded. She felt that she was just asking nonsense. In such a situation, it was difficult for her and Night Sorrow to control the direction of the situation. The Yen Kuei clan's territory was not far from the Soul Devourer clan's territory. It was only tens of thousands of miles away. It didn't take long for them to hear the sounds of fighting as they moved forward at high speed. In this darkness, Ao Qingwu, who was dressed in black, was surrounded by more than 10 high gods of the Soul Devourer clan. She was covered in blood and was in a very bad condition. She was on the verge of collapse. She roared hoarsely, "Kill! I'll kill all of you despicable creatures. I'll kill all of you, kill all of you." Ao Qingwu. After getting closer, Night Sorrow noticed that the dark aura around Ao Qingwu was very dense, and her eyes were completely blood red. After not seeing her for 100 years, she seemed to have gone mad and completely lost control. However, she continued to kill the dark creatures. At this moment, she was fighting alone in the dark domain. She gave off an extremely tragic feeling. I think that you must have been a pure and kind female cultivator in the past. The unreasonable you as well as the demonic you today are all part of fate's pranks. It's all because of this damn dark aura. One day I'll completely destroy this place. Ao Qingwu's crazy and pathetic appearance, as well as her hoarse and crazy roars, made Night Sorrow's heart ache. Even the corners of his eyes became wet. What made him understand the cause and effect was that Ao Qingwu chose to enter the dark domain before she completely demonized, and not the divine world. It should be because she was kind. Now that she was fighting like this, it proved that she hated the dark races very much. Chapter 2449. If it was him who was corroded by the dark aura and gradually lost control of his emotions, he would have to face the despair and struggle of becoming a demon every day. How terrifying would that be? Night Sorrow felt uncomfortable all over just thinking about it. At that moment, Jing Yun secretly grabbed Night Sorrow's arm. There were tears at the corners of her eyes, clearly feeling sorry for Ao Qingwu as well. Everyone was a cultivator, but they had to watch her being tortured by the dark race. That was an extremely cruel scene that no one could stand. Don't cry. The gorillas have no tears. We have to control our emotions so that we won't be discovered. After taking a deep breath, Night Sorrow gave Jing Yun a look of assurance before turning his gaze back to Ao Qingwu. Ao Qingwu was even more wretched now that the exalted gods of the gorillas had joined the fray. Although her strength had improved greatly compared to when she lost to Night Sorrow, there was no way she could defend against the attacks of so many exalted gods. Before long, the scene turned into a one-sided slaughter. Ao Qingwu's hoarse roars were replaced by tragic howls. However, even under such circumstances, she did not choose to escape and continued to fight. Clearly, she wanted to fight to the end. Perhaps it was because she had enough of the torture and wanted to fight to free herself. What should we do? Seeing Ao Qingwu in such a state, Jing Yun was extremely worried but could not think of a solution. No, this isn't your fault. I won't let you die just like that. Initially, Night Sorrow hated Ao Qingwu. However, he was touched by her now and did not want a cultivator like her to be tortured to death by the dark aura. Let's go and save her. Seeing that Gorilla Kuei and the others were joining in the attack, Ao Qingwu was in danger. Night Sorrow whispered to Jing Yun and led the charge into the battle. By doing so, Night Sorrow was following his heart. How are we going to escape unscathed if we save her? Jing Yun was clearly stunned when she saw Night Sorrow charging forward without hesitation. However, she did not hesitate and charged over as well. Roar! She's mine. No one is allowed to snatch her from me. Night Sorrow, who had charged into the battle, roared in a ferocious voice as he repelled several high god-level dark creatures that were attacking Ao Qingwu and stood in front of her. Soon after, Jing Yun followed behind him and launched a sneak attack on 2 or 3 dark creatures, forcing them to retreat. Master Xingshang, what are you doing? Yan Kuei, the leader of the Gorlok race, flew into a rage when he saw Night Sorrow sneak attack and defeat several dark creatures. He was about to attack and kill Night Sorrow. Leader. I'm not helping the dragons, I'm preparing to capture her. Night Sorrow let out a low roar and explained, Chief, the soul-devouring race can't hold on any longer. That's why they asked us for help. Since we came to help, the dragons will naturally belong to us. If we capture her alive and send her to the Thousand Cavern Mountain, Sir God and Hun will definitely be very happy. In that case, Night Sorrow was also quick-witted. He thought that if he captured Ao Qingwu and sent her to see Sir God and Hun, he would be able to sneak into the Thousand Cavern Mountain. This was simply a plan to kill 2 birds with 1 stone. That's right. In the dark sector, everyone coveted the resources of the Thousand Cavern Mountain. Hearing Night Sorrow's slightly unreasonable words, Yan Kuei immediately roared in agreement. However, their conversation immediately caused the soul-devouring race to be displeased. Yan Kuei, what do you mean? She appeared in our territory, so she naturally belongs to our race. The leader of the soul-devouring race, Shushi, immediately roared. Ao Qingwu was the meat in their hands, how could they bear to give her away? Belong to your soul-devouring race? If it weren't for my Gorlok race's support, you would have been destroyed by her. What right do you have to fight with my race? Before Yan Kuei could retort, Night Sorrow immediately roared. What Xingshang said makes sense. Yan Kuei nodded in satisfaction when he heard Night Sorrow's words. Are you preparing to fight? Shushi, the leader of the soul-devouring race, raised his huge hand. He was completely enraged. We are all dark creatures, and our soul-devouring race is also very murderous. Let's fight. Do you think my Gorlok race is afraid of you? In the dark sector, whoever had the biggest fist had the final say. Seeing that the situation was favorable, how could Yan Kuei be willing to speak? Looks like it's a success. The soul-devouring race is definitely no match for the Gorlok race. If the soul-devouring race had the strength of the Gorlok race, they would definitely not have hurriedly asked for help after being ambushed by Ao Qingwu. Yan Kuei. We will fight to the death. It's not that easy to take food from my soul-devouring race. Seeing Yan Kuei's determined attitude, Shushi roared. Soul-devouring race, listen to my command. Kill all the Gorlok race. You overestimate yourselves. Kill the Gorlok race. Yan Shang, control the dragons, don't let her be taken away. At this time, Ao Qingwu had already exhausted her strength and fainted. She was in Night Sorrow's arms. Before the battle, Yan Kuei looked at Night Sorrow with satisfaction. He liked Night Sorrow's domineering attitude. Yes, leader. No one can take the prey from Yan Shang. Night Sorrow roared in a low voice. You're too similar. If I didn't know that you're Night Sorrow, even I would think that you're a Gorlok. Jing Yun, who was standing beside Night Sorrow, saw his actions and expression and felt like laughing. She was very smart and completely understood that Night Sorrow wanted to sneak into the Thousand Cavern Mountain. Jing Yun, take care of her. I'll deal with the soul-devouring race. The soul-devouring race kept coming to snatch Ao Qingwu. Jing Yun was a little overwhelmed. Night Sorrow handed Ao Qingwu over to her and started fighting the high gods of the soul-devouring race. There were more than 30 high gods of the Gorlok race, more than 10 more than the soul-devouring race. There was only one high god of the soul-devouring race that Night Sorrow was fighting. Facing it, Night Sorrow handled it with ease. He quickly removed one of its hand blades and used it as a weapon to wildly hack at it. The high god of the soul-devouring race wanted to ask for help but found that its race was completely at a disadvantage. They were no match for the Gorlok race and no one had the strength to help it. Without anyone's help, it was quickly dismantled by Night Sorrow. After dismantling the high god of the soul-devouring race, a golden power of virtue immediately appeared and drilled into Night Sorrow's body. Not good. I forgot about this. With the appearance of the power of virtue, Night Sorrow's strength obviously increased a little. However, he was not happy at all because it would be easy to be exposed. Night Sorrow immediately observed everyone in the battle. He found that they were basically all fighting and heaved a sigh of relief. However, before Night Sorrow could be happy, something that gave him a headache happened. Not far away, another race called over by the soul-devouring race, the nefarious demon race, arrived. This nefarious demon race was very strong. They had 2 intermediate high gods and more than 40 lower high gods. The Gorlok race was no match for them. If they attacked, the Gorlok race might not be able to protect Ao Qingwu. Seeing the nefarious demon race appear, the leader of the soul-devouring race, Shushi's eyes immediately lit up. He quickly asked for help and told them about Ao Qingwu. Chapter 2450. The nefarious demon tribe is very powerful. They have 2 middle high gods and over 40 lower high gods. This time they have mobilized their entire tribe. Obviously, they want to capture Ao Qingwu and hand her over to Sir God Anhun. Standing beside Jing Yun and looking at the nefarious demon tribe, Night Sorrow could not help but think of a countermeasure. First of all, the nefarious demon tribe was not easy to deal with. Moreover, there might be other races appearing soon. This matter had to be resolved quickly. Yin Kuei, what are you doing? Why are you fighting with Shiryu? Are you trying to snatch the credit in their territory? Xie Kuan, the leader of the nefarious demon tribe, said from tens of thousands of miles away. Seeing that the nefarious demon tribe had arrived, the gorilla tribe and soul eater tribe stopped fighting. Yen Kuei roared with strong fighting spirit. Without my gorilla tribe, the soul eater tribe would have suffered a great loss. They would not have been able to capture the dragon's cultivator. The credit naturally belongs to my gorilla tribe. How is this snatching the credit? In fact, if the nefarious demon tribe was not very powerful, Yen Kuei would not have wasted his breath on them. The dragon's cultivator did not transform into her dragon form this time. Her fighting power is not strong at all. Without you, my Soul Eater tribe could have taken her down. Shiryu, the leader of the Soul Eater tribe, retorted unhappily. He regretted informing the gorilla tribe and the nefarious demon tribe. Ao Qingwu could have wiped out the 2 tribes originally because her tribe skills were too powerful after she transformed into her dragon form. Today, perhaps because of her severe injuries, she did not transform into her dragon form and her fighting power was not very strong. Even without the help of the other dark tribes, the Soul Eater tribe could have dealt with her. If we did not come, she might have transformed into her dragon form. You know how the other 2 tribes were wiped out. Yen Kuei looked ferocious and his eyes were filled with strong fighting spirit. How could he be willing to give up the credit of Ao Qingwu? Not only was he furious, but the warriors of the gorilla tribe were also furious. They could accept taking the credit of others, but they could not allow others to take the credit of others. Facing Yen Kuei's question, Shiji didn't know how to refute. He said angrily, Chief Xie Kuan, my soul-devouring clan is willing to give all the credit to the nefarious devil tribe. If the gorilla clan dares to snatch the credit, my spirit devourer clan is willing to assist you in killing them all. The gorilla clan had just killed a few high deity experts, so devouring sacrifice hated gorilla clan and gorilla clan to the core. When it said this, it glared at Night Sorrow fiercely. At that time, if not for Night Sorrow, Yen Kuei might not have made the prompt decision to capture Ao Qingwu. Very good. Xie Kuan hadn't said anything as he had been waiting for Devourer's words. Hearing that, Xie Kuan berated Yen Kuei, get out of the Devourer tribe's territory immediately. Otherwise don't blame me Xie Kuan for being ruthless and annihilating your gorilla tribe. The credit belongs to my nefarious devil tribe. Bastard. You didn't even do anything, so why should the credit be yours? Hearing Xie Kuan's threat, Yen Kuei's ferocious nature completely erupted as it roared back. Because my nefarious devil tribe is stronger than your gorilla clan. If you don't get out of my sight, I'll annihilate your entire tribe. Xie Kuan bared his huge fangs and threatened. The nefarious devil tribe looked a little like human cultivators, but they were taller and had 2 boar-like fangs in their mouths. They looked very ferocious. Brr. Yen Kuei, who was completely enraged, roared, but it didn't have the domineering aura it had when facing the Spirit Devourer clan. The nefarious devil tribe's strength was originally much stronger than the gorilla clan. Now that they had the help of the Spirit Devourer clan, if they chose to fight to the death, they would definitely be annihilated. What are you roaring for? Get out of my sight. Xie Kuan, the leader of the nefarious devil tribe, threatened impatiently. Damn it. Leader, please allow us to fight to the death. That's right. My gorilla clan swears to the death. "Leader, please allow us to fight to the death." Seeing their leader being scolded, many high deity guerrillas were enraged. The dark races were evil, warlike, bloodthirsty, and violent. They only knew how to fight to the death and weren't as meticulous as the God Realm cultivators. No. Retreat. Yen Kuei, the leader of the guerrilla clan, was more rational and roared unwillingly. He knew that if they fought, the guerrilla clan would definitely be annihilated today. The guerrilla clan only had one medium high deity expert, while the other side had 3. If they fought, he would be the first to be torn apart. Yen Shang, leave the dragons to them. Let's retreat. After gathering the guerrilla clan and preparing to leave the Spirit Devourer clan's territory, Yen Kuei roared when he saw that Night Sorrow and Jing Yun were still controlling Ao Qingwu. The guerrilla clan warriors beside him were furious. They felt very aggrieved to admit defeat. Retreat? We don't need to retreat. The ones who should leave are the nefarious devil tribe who stole the credit. The ones who should be annihilated are the Spirit Devourer clan. At this moment, Night Sorrow didn't have the slightest intention of retreating. If he handed Ao Qingwu over, he could ensure his own safety, but he would definitely lose the opportunity to go to the Thousand Cavern Mountain. Moreover, he didn't want to hand Ao Qingwu over and watch her be tortured to death by the dark creatures. What did you say? Where did this little brat come from? Even Yen Kuei gave in. How dare you, a medium feather god, act so arrogantly? I see that your nefarious devil tribe is weak but very arrogant. Xiao Wan, go and tear him apart. Xie Kuan roared and ordered. Yes, Lord Chief. Xiao Wan of the nefarious devil tribe half knelt and saluted Xie Kuan. Then he walked out of the formation and went straight to Night Sorrow. Yen Shang, come back. I know you're not satisfied. But we're not strong enough, so we can only retreat. Don't fight in a moment of anger. Come back immediately. Yen Kuei admired Night Sorrow's courage, but he felt that he was overestimating himself. Fighting in this kind of situation was obviously courting death. You still want to retreat? It's too late. How dare you bark in front of Lord Chief? I'll tear you to pieces. Xiao Wan roared as he ran. How dare you shout at me? I'll break your fangs first. Facing Xiao Wan, who was charging at him, Night Sorrow smiled and used the star's hegemonic body. Although Xiao Wan was only a lesser high god, he seemed stronger than Xiao Wan. Night Sorrow didn't dare to be careless. Without waiting for Xiao Wan to attack, Night Sorrow jumped up and punched him. Medium feather god brat, you're overestimating yourself. Evil Chaos grinned as Night Sorrow pounced at him from the air. He was about to jump up and smash Night Sorrow's arms before torturing him. He didn't care about a medium feather god at all. However, to Xiao Wan's surprise, Night Sorrow's speed was astonishing. Before he could even attack, 2 mountain-like fists smashed down from the sky. Xiao Wan hurriedly raised his hands to block, but Night Sorrow broke his arms. While Xiao Wan was howling, Night Sorrow fiercely pressed him to the ground and broke his fangs. I said that I'll break your fangs. After breaking Xiao Wan's fangs, Night Sorrow stepped on him and said arrogantly, the nefarious devil tribe is too weak. Who dares to fight me? Chapter 2451. Great. Good job, Scarlet Sorrow. Night Sorrow defeated the arrogant nefarious demon in 1 round. The warriors of the Scarlet Gorilla tribe roared. They felt that they had vented their anger. Very good. Scarlet Kuei, who had thought that Night Sorrow was overestimating himself, grinned and praised him. He also felt that he had vented his anger. At this moment, Night Sorrow stabbed 2 of his fangs into Xiao Wan's head. You're courting death. Someone kill it for me. Xie Kuan bared his fangs in anger. The nefarious demon's reputation was severely damaged. At this moment, Xiao Wan was killed in a one-on-one duel. He could not directly declare war on the Scarlet Gorilla tribe. That would be too embarrassing. He could only roar and give the order. Leader, let me kill it. Xie Mei, who was second only to the 2 intermediate high gods of the nefarious demon tribe, knelt down and requested to fight. Night Sorrow killed Xiao Wan in an instant. He was immediately valued by the nefarious demons. Good. Xie Mei, you can go and tear it apart. Xie Kuan glanced at Xie Mei and nodded. It's not my match. I want to challenge you. Xie Kuan. At this moment, Night Sorrow surprisingly pointed at Xie Kuan and challenged him. Killing Xiao Wan was not Night Sorrow's real goal. He wanted to provoke Xie Kuan and get the chance to challenge him. As long as he defeated the leader of the nefarious demons would retreat without a fight. This was the only way Night Sorrow could think of to force the enemy to retreat. If a group battle broke out, he would be powerless. This was the only way. Shameless boasting. If you want to challenge the leader, you'll have to get through me first. Xie Mei saw Night Sorrow challenge Xie Kuan and rushed out of the group in anger. You're not my match. Why are you here to die? Xie Mei was one of the strongest lower high gods of the dark races. However, he was much weaker than cultivators. He was about the same as Ao Qingwu when she had just broken through to the upper god realm. How could he be a match for Night Sorrow? Night Sorrow only activated his essence smoke beacon and star's tyrannical body to crush him with his physical advantage. Its fate was the same as Xiao Wan's. Xing Shang's strength is beyond my imagination. Could it be that it's not from my clan? Seeing how overbearing Night Sorrow was, the other members of the gorilla clan roared again and again. However, Gorilla Kuei felt that something was wrong. Since ancient times, there had never been a gorilla with such fighting strength. It immediately suspected Night Sorrow's identity. Yishang didn't notice this at all. I said, I want to challenge you, Xie Kuan. Don't send your clansmen to their deaths. Could it be that you don't dare to fight me? Night Sorrow pointed at Xie Kuan, the leader of the nefarious devil tribe. He was trying to provoke the other party. He wanted to turn the complicated situation into a simple one-on-one fight. Since you want to die, I don't mind tearing you to pieces. At this moment, Xie Kuan was completely enraged. If he did not dare to accept the challenge of a middle-level feather god in front of so many clansmen, then he could forget about being the leader. Originally, he could have snatched Ao Qingwu's credit without shedding a drop of blood. Now that he was being challenged, Xie Kuan was furious. Seeing that Night Sorrow actually dared to challenge Xie Kuan, the members of the gorilla clan roared excitedly. Gorilla Kuei's gaze was deep as he secretly observed Night Sorrow. At the same time, he recalled the scene after Night Sorrow had appeared. Not good. Gorilla Kuei is starting to suspect Night Sorrow. Jing Yun, who was secretly observing Gorilla Kuei, cursed inwardly. She began to think of a countermeasure. If Gorilla Kuei exposed Night Sorrow's identity on the spot, the consequences would be unimaginable. Although these dark creatures were not strong in one-on-one fights, there were many of them. With dozens of high gods attacking together, it would be difficult for Night Sorrow to escape. At the same time, Night Sorrow and Xie Kuan officially started their battle. After all, Xie Kuan was a middle-level high god. His body was very strong. In the battle, Night Sorrow had no choice but to use the Thousand Catty Demon Spear. Although the Thousand Catty Demon Spear was shrouded in a dark aura and had the aura of a human practitioner, many of the dark creatures present did not mind. This was because there were many divine weapons and cultivation resources in the dark region that had been snatched from High Bay City. Only Gorilla Kuei's gaze became brighter and brighter. His suspicion of Night Sorrow grew stronger. However, at this time Night Sorrow was fighting with the nefarious demon tribe. Gorilla Kuei naturally would not speak. He wanted to use Night Sorrow to defeat the nefarious demon tribe and then reap the benefits. If it really is a human cultivator, then our contribution this time is really too great. Sir God Anhun will definitely reward me handsomely. Gorilla Kuei's face revealed a trace of ruthlessness and complacency. Sir God Anhun was currently the only Sir God expert in the dark region. Gorilla Kuei really hoped to receive a reward from him. It seems that Night Sorrow has really been discovered. What should I do? Jing Yun, who had been paying attention to Gorilla Kuei, was a little anxious. She thought of a countermeasure. She was not too worried about the battle between Night Sorrow and Xie Kuan because she knew the true battle strength of Night Sorrow. You, the leader of the nefarious demon tribe, aren't very strong. You can't even suppress the feather god of my gorilla tribe. In the face of Night Sorrow, Xie Kuan was at ease and did not suffer any losses. The battle strength of the dark creatures was lower than he had imagined. Ordinary practitioners should be able to fight against them, let alone him, who had strengthened his body with the Genesis essence of heaven and earth. You deserve to die. After fighting with Night Sorrow for a while, Xie Kuan didn't have the slightest advantage. Instead, he was stabbed several times. Xie Kuan's face instantly fell. He immediately used a dark secret technique to increase his strength by several times. Facing Xie Kuan, whose strength had skyrocketed, Night Sorrow finally felt the obvious pressure. Looks like I have to use the soul-splitting evil vanquishing spear that brother taught me. In the dark domain, one could not use the power of virtue. Night Sorrow, who felt the pressure, immediately used the modified soul-splitting evil vanquishing spear. After using the soul-splitting evil vanquishing spear, the 1,000-kilogram demon-vanquishing spear was immediately surrounded by black gas. This was different from the original light of the soul-splitting evil-vanquishing spear. It was the result of Night Sorrow's research for a long time. Buzz. As soon as the spear was used, Xiakuan, who had a strong body, was immediately sent flying. This surprised him and made him extremely angry. As the leader of a tribe, he could not even suppress a nameless shrimp. This made Xiakuan feel very hurt. This is the spear technique of the human golden body divine lord. Seeing Night Sorrow use the modified soul-splitting evil-vanquishing spear, Gorilla Kuei was completely sure that Night Sorrow was a human practitioner. If he was not a human practitioner, he would not have been able to obtain the inheritance of the golden body divine lord. The golden body divine lord was an existence that made the entire dark domain tremble in fear. It was impossible for him to leave his inheritance to a dark creature. Back then he had experienced the scene of the golden body divine lord killing the shadow divine lord and was lucky enough to survive. He had a deep memory of the soul-splitting evil-vanquishing spear. At this time, Night Sorrow wanted to pay attention to Jing Yun to see if she was controlling Ao Qinggu. However, he found that there was something in her eyes. Gorilla Kuei has discovered my identity. With Jing Yun's reminder, Night Sorrow paid attention to Gorilla Kuei and knew that his identity had been exposed. However, he did not have time to pay attention to Gorilla Kuei. He continued to fight with Xiakuan. As the leader of a tribe, Xiakuan had many tricks up his sleeves. However, the soul-splitting evil-vanquishing spear restrained him severely. He had used various secret techniques continuously, but he was still not suppressed by Night Sorrow. He had no ability to resist at all. In the end, Xiakuan was in despair. However, there was no other way. He was no match for Night Sorrow. Even if he was unwilling, he had to swallow the bitter fruit of defeat. Since you are the leader of a tribe, I will kill you. Take the nefarious demon tribe and leave this place quickly. After defeating Xiakuan, Night Sorrow did not kill him. He was afraid that Xiakuan would turn into a sacred golden power of virtue and enter his body. If that was the case, he would really die without a burial place. After dealing with the nefarious demon tribe, it's time to figure out how to deal with Gorilla Kuei. His identity could not be exposed. At this time, Night Sorrow felt a heavy pressure. Chapter 2452. Roar. I'm no match for you. Xiakuan, who had been defeated by Night Sorrow, was unwilling to accept this. He roared angrily, then stood up and ordered, "Nefarious demons, follow me back to my territory." After being defeated, he was too ashamed to stay here and fight for credit. Wait. You can't leave yet. At this moment, another mid-level high god of the nefarious demons, Xia Xing, suddenly grinned and said, "Xiakuan, you can't even defeat a mid-level feather god. You don't have the right to continue ruling our nefarious demons." Xia Xing actually challenged Xiakuan at this moment. Originally, Xia Xing was no match for Xiakuan, but now that Xiakuan was seriously injured, he realized that this was a good opportunity for him to become the leader. So that's how it works. Looks like there's a turning point for Xiakuan. Seeing Xia Xing challenge Xiakuan, Night Sorrow's eyes lit up. He pointed the 1,000-kilogram demon subduing spear at Xiakuan and said, "Xiakuan, you're too weak. You retreated without a fight after being provoked by the nefarious demons. You don't have the right to continue leading our nefarious demons. I challenge you to a duel." "You're just a human cultivator and you want to challenge me? Dream on. Warriors of the nefarious demons, tear this human cultivator to shreds." Xiakuan's combat strength was about the same as Xiakuan's. Seeing that Xiakuan was no match for Night Sorrow, how could he fight him one-on-one? He directly exposed his identity. Hearing Xiakuan's words, the nefarious demons were in an uproar. At this moment, Jing Yun roared in a nefarious demon voice, "Xiakuan, you're not only a coward, you're also despicable and shameless. You're not Xiakuan's match, so you deliberately framed him. You don't have the courage of the nefarious demons, and you don't deserve to be our leader. You're also a human cultivator." Xiakuan, who hadn't noticed Jing Yun, pointed at her and roared, "We're all human cultivators. Are you the only coward who's a true nefarious demon?" Night Sorrow roared, "Warriors of the nefarious demons, I'll now destroy this coward Xiakuan and lead everyone to the 1,000-cavern mountain. I'll bring you endless glory." Under Night Sorrow's encouragement, the nefarious demons of the nefarious demons roars immediately. The tribe worshipped the strong. At this moment, Night Sorrow had the right to speak. You've all been fooled by him. He really is a human cultivator. Why can't you see it? Yen Kuei roared furiously when he saw that the situation wasn't right. However, in the face of the nefarious devil clan, it chose to give up its merits. This already made many of the primal devils dissatisfied, and it was not popular with them. Furthermore, it continuously accused Night Sorrow and Jing Yun of being human cultivators, which gave off a very fake feeling, and none of the gorillas were willing to believe it. Yen Kuei, your cowardice has brought shame to my Yen clan. Even Yen Xie, who had been beaten half to death by Night Sorrow, stood up and criticized Yen Kuei for his cowardice. Yes. Xing Kuei, you are jealous that Xing Shang is stronger than you. I'm afraid that it will threaten your position as leader. You're really despicable. The other gorillas also roared. You guys are really... Yen Kuei was so angry that he hammered his chest, but he was helpless. No one in the Yen clan trusted him. Just now, the gorilla clan had been slapped in the face under its leadership, but Night Sorrow immediately slapped them in the face. Comparing the two, Night Sorrow naturally received more support. As a dark creature, the gorillas had no emotions. Whoever was the strongest would be the leader. This was a rule that would never change even after thousands of reincarnations. Yen Kuei's current behavior made them feel disdain. What? Do you have the guts to fight me fair and square? Whoever wins will become the leader of the gorilla clan. Night Sorrow roared out with a ferocious aura. Do you dare to fight me to the death or not? Do you dare? Come, let's fight. Could it be that I, Yen Kuei, am afraid of a human cultivator like you? Unable to explain himself, Yen Kuei panted heavily. It was obvious that he was extremely furious, but since he couldn't explain himself, he could only choose to fight. Otherwise, it would be looked down upon by the gorilla clan. If you frame me again, I will tear your mouth apart. The gorilla clan's fighting style was very primitive. Night Sorrow roared and rushed towards Yen Kuei. Yen Kuei didn't say a word. Night Sorrow thought to himself, it seems that no matter where you are, the one who wins the people's hearts wins the world. As long as the words were provocative enough, even if it was false, it could become true. Human cultivator, go to hell. Yen Kuei, who had completely lost his composure, only wanted to tear Night Sorrow to shreds. He immediately activated his strongest secret technique and raised his strength to the peak. He also used the gorilla clan's unique technique. Soul-splitting evil-slaying spear. Facing Yen Kuei's strongest attack, Night Sorrow once again activated the Essence Chi Smoke Signal and Star's Tyrant Body, which were concealed by the dark aura. Then he displayed the Forbidden Spear, which was the fusion of 10 spears. When he was very close to Yen Kuei, Night Sorrow shouted the soul-splitting evil-slaying spear. Damn it. Hearing this name, Yen Kuei was subconsciously afraid because the scene of Gold-Bodied Divine Emperor killing Divine Emperor Dark Shadow and sealing Divine Emperor Dark Demon had terrified him. Boom. With a slight distraction, Yen Kuei was immediately blown away by Night Sorrow's spear. Although the simple Forbidden Spear was not as exquisite as the soul-splitting evil-slaying spear, its power was not small. Kill it, kill it. Under Jing Yun's instigation, the other gorillas continuously shouted. I'm so angry. You bunch of brainless trash. Hearing the cries of the gorillas, Yen Kuei could not concentrate at all to continue fighting. At this moment he was too aggrieved. At this moment, on the other side, Xie Kuan, who had almost lost his life, killed Xie Xing, who had challenged him and retained his position as the leader. With only half a breath left, he did not dare to stay and ordered his clan to return to their territory. Seeing the evil demon clan leave, the Soul Goblin clan was dumbfounded and did not know what to do. Dark Control rise. Night Sorrow, who had the upper hand, immediately used Soul Control after completely suppressing Yen Kuei and seeing that he was distracted. He used the evil dark aura to surround Yen Kuei's body. He did not dare to kill Yen Kuei because it would definitely expose his power of merit. Using Soul Control was the best choice. Human cultivator, you want to control me? This is impossible. Yen Kuei realized that Night Sorrow was using Soul Control on him and immediately focused on resisting. You brainless thing, you are no match for me in terms of Soul Control. Facing Yen Kuei, who was a middle-level high deity, Night Sorrow also found it difficult, but he was extremely confident. Being forced into such a situation, he had to be tough enough to control Yen Kuei and shut him up completely. Night Sorrow, you can do it. Jing Yun, who knew how difficult it was to control a middle-level high deity across so many levels, worriedly prayed to Night Sorrow. Although she was very confident in Night Sorrow, she was still a female cultivator and her mind was more active. Now that Night Sorrow was in danger, Jingyun realized how much she cared about him and did not want him to be hurt. Interestingly, the other high deities of the gorillas were also cheering for Night Sorrow, hoping that he could completely control Yen Kuei. He would become the new leader of the gorillas. As for Night Sorrow's identity, no one doubted it. Chapter 2453. While all the members of the gorilla clan were looking forward to it, Night Sorrow and Yen Kuei's soul did not entangle for long before he suppressed it and completely controlled its mind. At this time, the remaining high gods of the soul-devouring clan were still hesitating whether they should take the opportunity to escape or not. The soul-devouring clan is still hesitating and did not escape. I can read some information about Yen Kuei without worry. Ao Qingwu was still unconscious under Jingyun's control. The soul-devouring clan also did not make any movements. Night Sorrow glanced at Yen Kuei and began to read his memory. As the leader of the gorilla clan, his memory was much more complicated than the hairless gorilla in the pit. The useful information was also many times more. Yen Kuei had witnessed the battle back then and had seen the current strongest expert of the dark sector, Sir God Enhan. At the same time, he knew the way to the Thousand Cave Mountain. This was very useful information. So my brother was already an invincible Sir God back then. Moreover, his body refining and cultivation techniques were based on what his predecessors had learned. What a genius. In the battle back then, Sir God Mo Chanchan had killed his way into the dark sector alone, killed Sir God Enying, severely injured Sir God Anmo, and sealed him under the Thousand Cave Mountain. He had also used the Endless Bone Realm to seal the entire dark sector. This was definitely a great merit for High Bay City. Mo Chanchan's figure was not tall and was even a little stooped. His appearance was also not extraordinary, and his face was slightly wretched. However, when he fought, he was incomparably heroic and brought great shock to Night Sorrow's heart. Hearing about it and seeing it with my own eyes are two completely different things. All sorts of images flashed through his mind. Night Sorrow even felt his blood boil. The predecessors had set a good example for him. No, this is not the right place. I need to control my emotions. The scenes in his mind made Night Sorrow excited and made Night Sorrow sad. However, he knew that this was not good because he was now in the dark sector. The slightest mistake would expose his identity. After confirming the approximate location of the soul-splitting evil spear through the battle scenes and familiarizing himself with the Thousand Cave Mountain, Night Sorrow slowly calmed down. In addition, Yen Kuei had met Sir God Enhan before. However, Night Sorrow did not read the relevant memories as he was afraid of being detected. There was a lot of other useful information, and Night Sorrow decided to slowly digest it. Otherwise it would take too long. Yen Kuei, my servant, you should know what to do next. Night Sorrow, whose expression had gradually returned to normal, ordered Yen Kuei. At this moment, Yen Kuei's soul had been completely destroyed. Night Sorrow only needed to use a small portion of his soul power to completely control him. Yes, my master. Yen Kuei's originally evil gaze had become somewhat sluggish. After replying, it knelt on the ground and kowtowed to Night Sorrow. Leader, I am willing to serve you. Leader. Leader. At this point, the high gods of the gorilla race knew that a new leader had been born. Night Sorrow had become their ruler. They all knelt on the ground and roared. Night Sorrow had just defeated Xie Kuan, the leader of the evil demon race, and brought him endless prestige. The guerrilla warriors who revered the strong, revealed a crazed look in their eyes. They were all waiting for Night Sorrow's order to kill all of the Soul Eater race. Finally we have won. As expected, you never disappoint. Originally, Jingyun wanted to kowtow with the other gorillas. However, Night Sorrow stopped her. Bring the dragons over. Yes, leader. Jingyun took the opportunity to bring Ao Qingwu to Night Sorrow's side, avoiding the awkwardness of kowtowing. Our chance to become stronger is here. Night Sorrow whispered to Jingyun. Then, he looked at the gorillas who were kneeling on the ground and roared, exterminate the Soul Eater race and seize their treasury. These dark creatures were extremely evil by nature. They existed to kill. Night Sorrow had no sympathy for them. Naturally, he would not go easy on them. Kill them all. These words were very provocative. The guerrilla warriors who had been waiting for this order, all stood up and charged towards the Soul Eater race. Don't let a single one of them go. The gorillas and the Soul Eater race soon began to fight. Knight Sorrow, who was fighting against Devourer, gave an iron-blooded order. Showing mercy to the dark creatures was the same as persecuting the cultivators of the heavenly realm. Knight Sorrow would not do such a stupid thing. If not for the fact that killing the dark creatures in public would expose his identity, he would have started a massacre long ago. In this battle, the guerrillas had a great advantage. In the end, the guerrillas lost more than a dozen high gods. As for the Soul Eater race, other than their leader, Devourer, who was under Knight Sorrow's sole control, the other high gods were all killed. Knight Sorrow did not care about the guerrillas' losses. He would kill these dark creatures sooner or later. Go annihilate the soul-devouring clan and seize their treasury. Every dark creature was born from evil. Knight Sorrow, who controlled Devourer, led the remaining 20 or so high gods to kill all the members of the Soul Eater race in the Soul Eater race's territory. Knight Sorrow then controlled Devourer to open the door to the Soul Eater race's treasury. This treasury had existed for countless reincarnations and had accumulated a large amount of resources. Most of them were dark resources used by the dark races to increase their strength. At the same time, there were also some cultivation resources that Knight Sorrow and Jingyun could use. Knight Sorrow, who needed the help of the gorilla race's high gods, distributed all the dark resources to the gorillas and chased them out of the treasury. He and Jingyun studied the cultivation resources that the Soul Eater race had snatched. Although the Soul Goblin clan was not very strong in the dark region, they had accumulated a lot of cultivation resources over a long period of time. Knight Sorrow found 13 drops of Genesis Essence and gave them to Jingyun to increase her strength. Jingyun used 10 drops and prepared to slowly absorb them. The other 3 drops were used to treat Ao Qingwu. After absorbing the 3 drops of Genesis Essence, Ao Qingwu's injuries rapidly healed at a speed visible to the naked eye. However, perhaps because her soul was too seriously injured, she did not wake up. It was a good thing that Ao Qingwu, who had lost control, did not wake up. Knight Sorrow and Jingyun, who had saved her life, thought that she could avoid a lot of unnecessary trouble. How can I quickly increase my strength? The road to the Thousand Cavern Mountain will definitely not be easy. If my strength stagnates, I will definitely not be able to complete the task of sealing the Dark Demon Divine Lord. It seems that I need to deal with Devourer in the treasury to obtain the power of virtue. The treasury of the Soul Eater race contained divine artifacts, protective armor, pills, and a large amount of materials for cultivators. If these things were obtained in the divine world, it would definitely be equivalent to a windfall. But in the dark domain they could not be brought out. Knight Sorrow divided some pills into several categories and tied them to his belt. He was ready to summon Devourer and kill it to obtain the power of virtue. But at this time Jingyun, who had consumed the Genesis Essence but had not absorbed it, held a pitch-black spear and handed it to Knight Sorrow. Knight Sorrow, if I'm not wrong, this is a high god-level divine artifact, and its grade is very good. Is it? Why can't I see it? The pitch-black spear was covered in dust. It seemed to be a divine artifact with 9 lightning tribulation feathers, but its grade was not as good as the 1,000 catty demon subduing spear that had absorbed the Genesis Essence. Knight Sorrow had observed it just now, but he did not see that it was a high god-level divine artifact. This is a divine artifact refined by the Phoenix race using an ancient method. Only the Phoenix race can use their own blood to undo its seal. My bloodline is very pure, so I should be able to undo its seal. Jingyun explained. She stared at Knight Sorrow and asked, if I undo its seal now, will there be any problems? You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.